Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, patriots all over our country that is under God, welcome to tonight's Red America First Town Hall, the nation's most engaging platform where we, the people, run the show. Red for the blood of Christ, America First policies and candidates. And I'm your host, Ashley Weiss. Welcome to Town Hall by Red America First, where the spirit of our nation's founders meets the challenges of tomorrow. For 3 years, we stood as a beacon of unity and strength, draped in the symbolic red of our conviction, dedicated to America First policies and the Christian values that our nation was founded on. Here we gather not just to discuss, but to act, empowering our community through education, engagement, and the relentless pursuit of truth. Town Hall is igniting the conversations that matter. We're the forefront of a movement to ensure free, prosperous, and vibrant future for all Americans.
And I'm your co-host, Valerie Weiss. Tonight, we're excited to have Mr. Corbetti in Los Angeles, Mr. Billy Mack in Santa Monica, Dion Cini from New York City, and retired Marine Sergeant Mike Madru, and more tonight to discuss the riots in multiple cities. But first, Town Hall wants to share the organization this information up front.
So, Neveli Singham, okay? Neveli Singham is the person that's behind this riots over the multiple countries. We're going to go into the noking.org website and what they're doing this coming Saturday, which is June 14th. They're planning a nationwide riot protest, and we're going to go into those details as well. We want to also report that Soros has given millions of dollars to this organization as well. So we've got this cast of patriots all over the country. We're gonna bring them up here on the stage right after we get into prayer here. So if we could just everyone bow their heads for prayer. I'm gonna call on Rosemary, our editor-in-chief of our newsletter. She is a patriot and she loves Jesus Christ. Amen. And she'll lead us into prayer tonight. So, Rosemary, if you can unmute, thank you so much.
Lord, we come to you tonight and we thank you and praise you for all of the blessings, all of the good things that you have bestowed upon us. And tonight we thank you especially for all of our guests, our panelists, and all those who are joining us at Red America First. We thank you for their patriotism, their love, their contributions to our country. And we thank you for everything they have done, everything they will be doing, and for everything that they are contributing to our country, because our country at this time is in chaos and we need them. We need the fortitude, we need the unity and their strength in order to be able to overcome all of the evil powers that are trying to overtake us. So we thank them and we praise them, and we thank you also, Ashley and Valerie, for your contributions to Red America First. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for that, Rosemary. Now I'm going to call on Valerie Rice, the co-founder of Red America First, to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you in advance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Perfect. Now we're going to call on Leslie Mahan to lead us with the national anthems tonight. Thank you so much in advance.
Thank you, Valerie and Ashley. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets recoil, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Amazing job. That is well done. As always, Leslie, thank you for that. Now I'm going to bring up a lot of people, so get ready because it's a lot. First, I'm going to get a patriot influencer in New York City, Dion Cini, and I've been following him for a long time. He created a group, I believe he created a group called the Operational Drop Flag, if possible. And I monitor that movement, and I like what Dion's got to say. I'm also going to bring up Mr. Cobretti from Los Angeles. He's going to be talking with us as well. There is also a retired Marine sergeant that's in Los Angeles. Well, Mike McGrew, so he's going to be joining us as well. And there is a Billy Mack, William from California. He is an actor that played in the movie. I told you the movie. What was it called?
Yeah. I can't remember.
Well, Copycat.
Copycat.
That's what it was. All right. So a lot to discuss, and there might be more panel people that we're going to bring up here. But real quick, due to the time constraints I have, I want to start with Billy Mack, an actor. He lives in Santa Monica now. You're obviously aware of the riots, that they're frequent in LA, every 10 years or so, maybe every 5. But I have a Navy Patriot friend of mine that we were actually stationed on the same ship together, and he now works for LAPD. And you know what he told me? He says, Ashley, we do not get any more time off. We're working in crazy shifts. I get to go home and sleep a little bit, but then I'm back on the clock. And it's a very secluded area in downtown LA. So when we see stuff on the news, it seems like it's the whole city. So tell us from your perspective and shed some light. Thank you for coming on. And we're going to get to talk to everybody. So let's talk.
Oh, well, first of all, yeah. So it's far away from Santa Monica. I mean, I live near the beach, and it's pretty safe and quiet here, although it's not. We've had such a huge uptick in crime and aggressive homeless drug people. They're messed up on drugs. I'm primarily a Democrat, or was until the party left me, like everybody says. And so and I told Mike Velarde, I've known Mike for a long time, and we've been friends, and he knows I'm a Democrat and a liberal, but at the same time I'm not stupid, and I see what's going on, and I'm just not stupid, I'm not gonna go along with this crazy stuff. And about 4 or 5 years ago, we did have massive riots in Santa Monica. And there was no way to get the police. I mean, it was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. I've felt safe here almost my whole life. I've been here for like 30 years. And then, but when we had those riots, so what's going on downtown is really bad. And I'll tell you, I'm not a huge fan of police. I'm not a huge fan. However, I absolutely do not. I'm not on board for harassing federal officers in any way whatsoever, throwing Molotov cocktails. I'm more of an animal activist than anything. And I really was upset by seeing these supposed liberals throwing Molotov cocktails at the horses, the mounted horses,
Wow.
and throwing bricks and cinder blocks at the horses. So that to me is, I mean, that makes my blood boil. And so I am 100,000% against what's going on right now. And you know, California's really turned in. I mean, you know, I've got a great place here, you know, in LA, Santa Monica. So it's hard to leave. But I mean, I think they're just about to pass a law. It's unanimous in the state Senate and House. They're going to ban Glock handguns in Glocks, just Glocks. Doesn't matter how many rounds you have in it. It's just Glocks in general are going to be banned. It's getting crazy. And I don't know if you guys know, they're trying to pass a bill right now where you can no longer, you have to flee, duty to retreat. If somebody breaks into your home at 2 o'clock in the morning, you got to grab your kids and jump out a window and let them take whatever they want.
Whoa, wait. What happened to protecting our households and stuff? I mean, this is what I'm talking about. When you allow the progressive left to take control over your counties, your states, they do not put the people first. They don't care. They let crime go rampant in your state, and they allowed like an $800 limit or something like this.
$950.
$950. People were stealing PlayStation consoles. You know, it's crazy. Yeah. But hang that thought. Let's go to New York real fast. New York City. So Dion, look, I trust what you're gonna say. You know, you're there in New York. What's going on in your city? Because LA started, then it boiled over, obviously, to the Big Apple. So what's going on there, and what's your take on the situation? Thank you for coming on. Town Hall. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for having me on. Dion I founded Operation Flag Drop. So if you ever seen any gigantic Trump flags out there, they were probably mine.
So from New York, the New York stadiums, you would drop them. I know this.
Yeah. So anyway, we gotta back up. That's what the problem is. The things that are happening here in New York City are the same things that have been happening since you can go back to 1968, you know, to the riots. But it's just the same people doing the same stuff over and over, and they're just rebranding themselves. Recently, it all started with Occupy Wall Street, and then, you know, Black Lives Matter, and then, you know, whatever movement, this movement. We have this group called Rise and Resist. So we're not at the level that LA is at yet with the illegal aliens. We're going to be, but we're not there yet because Trump specifically targeted California for several reasons. I'm sure some of you guys could figure out why. So eventually, though, that will come here. But I see it as the biggest problem was not what's going on today, because it is just a continuation of Black Lives Matter and it's just the next thing. But we made some massive mistakes coming out of the chute, unlike the Democrats and Joe Biden when Joe Biden won, you know, in 2000. Won in 2000. Pam Bondi didn't do her job. And what she should have done is start arresting people right out of the chute, putting the fear and instilling fear into Gavin Newsom, into Mayor Adams, into Letitia James, into all these not just the judges, but the DAs. Because without the DAs, the judges, they have nobody to prosecute. So the biggest mistakes we made so far that led to what is happening today is, one, putting Pam Bondi, who I'm actually good friends with. I've been on 12 boat parades with Pam Bondi. I know her very well. I have her phone number in my phone, but I'm disappointed that she actually became the AG. So that's what I find is the biggest problem, is causing all this to happen today. We put the cart before the horse.
Perfect. Now, we're going to go back to LA with Mr. Cobretti for a second, but I want to really quickly share with you guys this organization that's kind of behind some of this. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. You guys should be able to see nokings.org. Okay, and when you scroll down to the map, okay, they are planning. This is Saturday now, June 14th. They're planning to do this in all, how many?
I think it was like 1,500 cities.
1,500 cities, but the map's full. You guys could go off on your own time to check out, you know, specifically, you know, if it's getting close to you guys or not. But it's all over the place. we just got off the phone with someone that lives in Hemet, California. Hemet, California is in the Boondock Desert, and they're having a political riot in that little town. So, Mr. Cobretti, you had some knowledge to share with us tonight, some data points, and you're there in Los Angeles, and we're going to get to the retired Marine in a moment. So tell us your thoughts, and thank you for coming on tonight. Thank you.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me to come on. I loved all the prayers and how you guys started your pod. It's great to be here. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm actually kind of astonished as to what's happening, with this whole thing. And, what's fascinating to me is the whole social media. It's actually really reminding me of like what went on during the election. What we're seeing on social media and the trends happening on all platforms. I'm primarily on TikTok, and, I haven't actually been posting as much. My wife has a health thing, so this year's been kind of an interesting thing. I stopped posting as much, but what I'm seeing, it's like I've refreshed my feed like 3 times in the last 3 days, and they're still pumping this information. It's kind of like what we were seeing during the campaign, where it was like, holy shit, could she actually win? It was coming out like tenfold. And so the fact that like what we're seeing today is exactly what happened with Obama. What we're using the exact same laws that Obama used. The raids are exactly the same, except for that the social media presence is 10 times greater. There was no TikTok. Everything, and the Trump hate is so massive that, they're pulling on the heartstrings of empathy. And it's like, wait a second, nothing is different. Biden used the same law that Clinton wrote. It was a bipartisan law. They're pulling on the due process. The thing is, if ICE is coming, that's the end of the line of the due process. Mm-hmm. And you start seeing on social media, people are comparing Anne Frank to what's happening in Los Angeles. It's mind-boggling. Right. It's not a question of not having empathy or humanity. It's that, to me, the conversation is, where was all of this discussion when Obama was doing it? And you've got kids today who don't even remember that Obama was the president and he deported 3.2 or 5 million, wherever you're going to get your data.
And he had them in cages too. Yeah. He had them in cages. Yeah. So to your point,
exactly,
the mainstream media and the television programming, all those people that subscribe to those feeds, they can't get out and breathe in the regular medium where we are, because I like to call us that we're awake to the system, right?
We're not going to beat that. That's the problem, that we're never going to beat that. And that's the biggest thing that I think that we are going to face. The thing that happened to Padilla today. I mean, if you've seen the video,
we're going to play it. We're going to play it soon, but yes, go ahead.
So there's multiple videos out there. Now, what legacy media is showing is the point of the video where he's getting thrown out. But there's plenty of video out there of him barging in and starting a disturbance while the secretary is giving a press conference. Yep. Now, he didn't identify himself. He just barges in like a child and starts a disruption like a protester and starts screaming at her. And that was, so at the end of the day, like that was what he did. So he got thrown out for causing a disturbance during a press conference with the Homeland Security Director. And he starts crying about, well, if this is how they treat a U.S. sitting senator, how would they treat a day laborer? And now that's the narrative.
Sure.
And so that's what they're now playing. But what I wanted to just, come on and talk about is that we're not going to beat the narrative of the media. At the end of the day, the due process is the same, and Trump changed. Now, the other part of what I'm seeing on the internet is they're saying like, oh, well, now they know a little bit about the IIRIA, which is the law that Clinton wrote, which is the bipartisan law of due process, which, Obama used, Biden used to deport millions of people, and Trump is using, which had a 2-year window. So you had to be in the country for 2 years, but Trump had an executive order to extend that. So everyone's getting their due process. And the thing is that it's just, they don't want them to go. It's all about like emotions once again, and not about the law. And the FAIR, which is the Federation of Immigration Reform, came out with the cost. It's $620 billion cost that Biden put on us with all of the, so we can care all we want, but I can also like go to France and want to, get a bunch of stuff over there, but they're not even going to let me in. And that's what it truly comes down to. And that, they were allowing these people to have temporary legal status and work permits before they crossed. Before they crossed, they were able to have access to the CBP app on their phones that they gave them before they crossed. And that status was revoked. And that's what when they're showing up at the court dates and they're saying like, hey, I'm trying to do it legally. I'm at my court date. And that's what the media is seeing. But that status was revoked because they came here illegally.
Right,
and,
that's right.
And we're not going to win that in the media.
Right.
We're just not, and it's just, I feel bad for them. I have empathy for them, but I'm not going to pay for it anymore. I'm just not going to.
Yeah, let's cut the cable. Good idea. And on that note, the media is talking, oh, we haven't had the military, help out in situations like this before.
That's the other part.
But let's go now to the retired sergeant from the Marines. Thank you for coming on, Mike McGrew in California. Now, the Marines now have been ordered to help. I think it's like 700, 800 have been moved from Camp Pendleton to help out the situation in Los Angeles. Now, from your perspective, do you believe it's a big deal that the Marines are helping out? Do you think that this is like an overreach with the government, putting the military with the people? What's your thoughts? And thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. When I said I was a retired sergeant, it wasn't from the Marine Corps. I was a police officer in Southern California. So I was a police officer for 31 years, just north of Los Angeles. And I did serve in the Los Angeles riots after Rodney King. I've been in a lot of civil unrest situations. I've been in a lot of riots myself. And so I do, since I retired, I started a program that supports first responders. And, I'm here basically as an advocate for the first responders that are out there on the front lines right now, and in a very difficult situation, but very dangerous. We provide counseling services for the first responders, having worked homicide for half of my career and major crimes and dealing with the worst of the worst of them, patrol the other half. I know what the layered trauma can do to a person and to those who serve. And so, I'm here to support the law enforcement. I know Billy Mack, by the time you get done with me, you are going to like the cops, but we, I just really, as I watch this whole thing unfold, they're doing a really good job. The officers that are out there are doing a spectacular job. I know that there's been calls for the National Guard to come in. Coincidentally, about at the start of the year, I was on a jury, which I never thought I would be, on a criminal jury at the Royal Federal Building, which is right where the detention center is. And I know that location is not only, I don't know all of who they house there, but I do know that the person that I was on their jury, who was a very dangerous person, was being housed at that place as well. So there's some bad characters in there. It doesn't have to do with anything with immigration or anything else. There's just some criminals that are some very bad people that you don't want to have broken out of that place. So I think when the National Guard goes and protects an asset like that, it's probably the appropriate thing to do, because Los Angeles Police Department and the other departments that are out there serving, they have their hands full. And the chief himself said, we have our hands full. So, and I've never seen, when I was in the Rodney King riots, we did the National Guard was there. I didn't have any interaction with them. I think they were more of a support role when we were there. But I know they were present, and I know that the rules were very different. We were told that we could not arrest anybody in that riot unless they shot at us. And, and there was a lot of gunfire that was coming at the cops too.
I want to report that a Florida sheriff in Brevard County said today, if you attack our police force or sheriff,
throw a stone,
we
or throw things.
we will kill you. That's what he said today. So, we really need to start setting the tone. If you're going to hurt people, or you're going to make it violent, this is what my LAPD friend said. Look, I don't mind people peacefully protesting. That's their right. But going beyond that, it's hurting people. Okay, so Billy Mack.
I think most law enforcement feels that way. I mean, I was always proud to be able to uphold people's First Amendment rights. So we have a lot of protests that happen in the town that I policed in, and and they were peaceful, and people would thank you. The protesters would say, "Hey, thank you for being here. We really appreciate you being here." And that's a little different than throwing boulders and rocks and shooting fireworks off at the cops. So it goes to another level. But
Those that are watching the live stream, the panel members are now going to ask questions to our guest speakers that are here tonight, and I'm going to open it up to the floor. So if those that are watching the live stream, go to redamericafirst.com and sign up. We're gonna start with a question from somebody in Ground Zero in East Palestine. Okay, this American patriot is sadly is starting to feel medical things changing in his body over time since the East Palestine derailment. But in any event, I'm going to ask Rob to come up in the stage here with us tonight. He's going to kick off the member Q&A with everybody, and then we'll have Rosemary on deck and others like this. So let's get this going. Please, team, understand some of our guests have to leave quickly. So we only got Billy Mack for 10 more minutes, and we only got Dion for another 30. And Mr. Cobretti and Mike McGrew, they didn't give me any definitely time segments. But anyway, let's be mindful of that. Rob, go with your first question. Thank you so much.
Yes, more with the LA riots. Are they just containing them, or are the protesters, or should I say rioters, focusing only in one area? And if they do start to disperse them, do you have any fears that they might spread out into the more unprotected community?
Well, they are starting.
Anyone can answer.
Yeah, they are. We're gonna have a protest here in Santa Monica, I think, on Saturday. So yeah, I think there's 10 or 12 planned around the city. So they are coming to Santa Monica. I just found out yesterday that they're coming here. So yeah, they're going to have them. And I don't know if you guys just saw the breaking news that the federal judge ordered Trump to turn the National Guard back over to Newsom. And he says that the National Guard is illegal. And yeah, so they're taking the National Guard away from the president. So it's gonna that tells you it's not going to be good around the rest of the country.
It's gonna get actually quite worse, to be honest with you. I've seen multiple videos throughout the day of people coming forward saying that they have been offered pay to be activists.
Oh yeah.
And there's been several postings. I mean, you can say it's real or not, but people have been coming forward saying they've been offered $200 to be agitators. I've seen things as high as $500. I've seen pictures of pallets of bricks. I mean, it could be another situation of 2020 on our hands. Who knows?
That's interesting. Good question, Rob. Thank you. Now we're going to go to Florida. Rosemary is our editor-in-chief of the newsletter, and she's going to ask you something about the riot. Go ahead, Rosemary.
Yes, first of all, many people do not understand the extent of these riots and what is actually being done. I have spoken to people that don't even believe they're throwing bricks. And I would very, very much like to ask each of you if you would kindly write a small summary of your experience and what you can contribute, because we have our newsletter or our magazine, which is America's Lifeline, and we publish it once a month. Now, my last magazine did explain exactly how these immigrants or these illegals were getting their rightful judicial rights. And they could go all the way up to the Supreme Court. Trey Gowdy had someone on his show, and it explained exactly. If Ashley would kindly send you a copy, each of you a copy of our magazine, then you could see what I'm talking about. But I would like to ask each and every one of you if you could kindly write something about your experience, because you are seeing this firsthand, and people don't understand what it is. They don't know that horses are being attacked with bricks. Bricks are being thrown at horses and whatever else is happening. And if that can be done, I would really appreciate it. And also, if what your feelings are. I know that, Billy, you said you changed from a Democrat to a Republican, and many people have said that. The Democrat Party was never like this, never. And it seems that they have gone all the way to the radical left. I mean, it's not just the left, it's very radical and liberal left. So I would, really like you to explain that as well. And if each and every one of you could. Also.
That's it. One question. You can't do 3 questions like that. So Billy Mack,
yeah,
how
just
did
real
you?
Quick, I want to clarify. I'm not a Republican. No offense to anybody. I'm a Democrat. I'm going to wait for the Democrat Party to come back. They might. And by the way, they are coming back. I want to give you guys, some good news. And that is, we got rid of that former district attorney, Gascon, who was terrible. The people voted him out, and this new guy, Hochman, is going after crime. He's prosecuting. He's an ass kicker. So the people are waking up. Democrats are waking up. And, after the fires in the Palisades, when the wealthy people get hit, then things start to change. So the wealthy people are now mad at Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom because their homes got destroyed. So, and I was involved with the Palisades fire. And so things are changing in Southern California. And I think people are waking up. Just getting rid of Gascon, I thought for sure they're going to keep Gascon in. I was shocked that Hochman won, and that's a good sign. And so, I don't have the animosity between Democrat, Republican. I'm not one of those people. I'm just not going to get caught up in the hatred in for any direction. And there are good Democrats out there and who have common sense and who are intelligent and don't approve of violence and don't approve of, no water in the reservoir in Pacific Palisades. This is common sense.
Well, we will eventually share a uniparty story where there's people on both sides of the aisle that do things that are America last, and we'll cover that in another episode. But Larry, California, go ahead with your question, and we got Mike Velarde on deck, Susan, Hawaii, Amber, Minnesota. Let's keep this going. Go ahead, Larry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. I think my question is directed probably more to Mike McGrew. and that is I saw this on the news a couple of days ago that I believe it's the Los Angeles Sheriff's Office has decided that they will not enforce the directive to arrest rioters or illegal immigrants. Is that valid?
I don't know. I don't work for them. I hadn't heard that. I'm sure that when it comes to rioters, that that doesn't make a lot of sense. I think that they, you know, if they're in the fight, which they are, I mean, usually mutual aid response, the sheriff is the lead. So even if it's the Los Angeles Police Department, the Los Angeles Sheriff is going to be the one that coordinates all the response for all the agencies that are going down there, which there are a lot that are down there right now. So I think you encourage his people to be enforcing the law and you know, doing their job. As far as immigration, I know that there's different organizations, law enforcement organizations, a lot in California that don't work with ICE. You know, they're just told because of their mayor or because of whoever it is that's leading that city or county, that they'll say, you know, we're not going to go out on ICE raids. And I think a lot of the ICE apprehensions are usually done in the jails, and that's where you know, law enforcement, you'll see the most common interaction is that ICE may have a detainer on somebody and they know that the person's in jail, and so they ask for cooperation to be able to, you know, take that, get that person from jail when they're released. But that's, I don't have all the answers for you, but it just makes sense to me that you know, LA. I worked with the LA Sheriff's Department, good organization, you know, and they're gonna protect people. They're gonna protect lives and property and keep people safe. So I do know that.
Thank you for that, Sergeant. Mike Velarde, Florida, go with your question to squeeze it in before Billy Mack's out of bounds.
Hey, Billy, good to see you.
See ya.
Listen, if there's paid protesters, there'd have to be some sort of stand-down order coming from Governor Newsom that they're not going to get arrested, because people aren't going to take money if they have to do time in jail. They have to have some sort of guarantee. Do you see any evidence of that?
Well, I know there. I've heard people are getting paid, and there's been ads, and it's about $200 a day is what I heard. So yeah, people are getting paid, and yeah, the arrests they'll be let out pretty quickly anyway. Even if Governor Newsom doesn't guarantee it, they will not spend much time unless they really hurt a cop.
Wow.
I have a question. Why would you think that Governor Newsom would have anything to do with some back organization paying a bunch of agitators? I'm curious. It's just an odd question. I'm curious why you would think that.
Because of his actions.
So we are definitely going to get in a heated discussion about this.
Okay. Sorry. It just struck me.
I want to talk about this, but before we do, I want to just ask, I just want to ask Billy, well, tell Billy Mack, thank you for coming on before he's got to go.
Okay, go ahead.
and we definitely, Billy Mack, we want you to come back to hashtag town hall in the future, okay?
Yes, absolutely. Sounds
perfect.
Good.
Now let's go to New York real quick. Dion, how ugly is your city going to get? Because I saw some videos already where they're getting the bullets out, that you know, non-lethal bullets, right? So is New York going to, you know, rein it in, or is it going to go out of control?
I don't think it's going to be anything like LA, because Mayor Adams is on board. I mean, he's basically MAGA right now. And I know the NYPD very well. You know, I know the guys in Intel. I know, you know, every day I get the flyer of all the protests that are going to happen every single day. So, you know, we can see what's actually going on before it happens. But I don't, unless, and the other thing is, we still are housing 50,000 illegal aliens in our hotels, motels, and other facilities around right now in the city. So these people are being housed. Now they'll know they'll get instantly thrown out if they start pulling this crap, because Trump will start instantly raiding those facilities. But I think New York City is probably going to be one of the most peaceful cities out of all this. Because
wow, that's the optimistic way of looking, thing.
Yeah, you can see the momentum. You know, you can see Adams. You know, Adams is a player now. Yeah, he's been bought. He's been bought by staying out of jail for the crimes he committed. And I wanted to back up real quick about what you guys said about they pulling the National Guard out of Gavin Newsom. The reason why they pulled the National Guard from Trump and back to Gavin Newsom is because Trump did not arrest Gavin Newsom for breaking U.S. Code 1324, harboring, aiding, abetting illegal aliens, which every mayor and every governor of a sanctuary city and state should be arrested for right now. So Adams, he's ahead of it. He's saying, "I'm going to work with you, Trump. We'll do what we have to do." And I think that's actually going to scare the illegal aliens out of New York City, because we had 7,000 living right here, right down the street from me. So we'll scare them out of the city before they go crazy, because the police are ready. They're going to go back to they were in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. As soon as the elite, now the people that are just doing the regular stuff, that Black Lives Matter 2.0, these people, they just do what they do. But when the illegal aliens start throwing the rocks and kicking and screaming, they're going to get their heads kicked in. Okay, they're not ordered. The NYPD are not ordered to stand down this time. They're gonna strike back.
Wow. Now we got a question coming all the way from Aloha State, Hawaii. Susan, go ahead. Aloha, thank you.
Aloha. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. I just want, we appreciate you. Just a quick question. I don't hear really any chatter out there about protecting the grid. It just, that kind of sabotage would just change the whole course of everything in no time and turn it into a totally catastrophic situation, whether it is New York, Los Angeles, especially because we're affected by the shipping that comes out of LA and Long Beach and areas like that. Is there any word, any information on who's protecting the grid? And if something like that happens, I know there's been cyber scuffles in the Middle East already. So I think that's a threat that hangs over everybody's head right now. Do you have an exit strategy if you're in a situation where that spills into your neighborhood?
Wow. Dion, take it.
Me? Are they protecting the grid? Absolutely not. You could take a rifle to a grid. If you hit it, like a lot of these, especially in New York, Jersey, I don't know, where the central hubs are, you could take a rifle to these things and knock them out. So as far as them protecting, no, because we would know about it. We would know about it, especially in New York City. If we knew that they were starting to protect the grid, then of course, they'd be getting a lot of tips for it. But the grid is definitely very susceptible. And it's funny because I just watched the movie Canadian Bacon the other day with John Candy. If you guys remember when we invaded Canada, it was a movie about taking down the grid. So yeah, the grid is a big problem, huge, massive. And I don't think there's any way to protect it, because if you could take a grid out with a rifle, you could definitely take it out with like an anti-tank gun or, a grenade launcher or even a hand grenade could theoretically take out the entire grid. No, the section of the grid.
So I want to talk to you guys about the idea that Michael Valari brought up. What if scenario Gavin Newsom's colluded with these organizations? And I'm here to tell you, Mr. Cobretti, that a lot of politicians have backdoor dealings. They have under the table handshakes, and I'm going to show some examples in the intel round with you if you stay that long, where I could show you where Lindsey Graham set up the proxy war with Ukraine and Russia now. That is Senator Lindsey Graham, still South Carolina senator, okay? I'll show you how Gavin Newsom's connected with Pelosi and how Gavin Newsom's connected with Governor Brown, the old Governor Brown that Billy Mack will tell you really screwed up the state of California. I grew up in that state, and there was mass turmoil because of the governor's shady shenanigans. And we'll go into those details. Amber, Minnesota, what's your question? Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you all for coming on tonight. My question is how do you think this is all going to play out across the country over the long run? Anybody can answer or whatever, because I know in where I'm living at, there almost every city pretty much around my local area is throwing a protest. So how do you guys think this is all going to play out?
Well, Brady, you want to start, and then we'll go see what Mike McGrew's got to say. Go ahead, Brady.
I mean, I think it's a great question, to be honest with you. I mean, I got to be honest. I'm a little bit worried about the midterms. I really am. I think that we need to see some serious economic changes quickly. We need to see some good news pretty fast. And I don't know how they're going to control the narrative. The thing with Padilla today, the way that that's not going to spin well for us. There's a lot, I was watching the House today, and Democrats were standing up there and screaming, and they're this, and this is a dictatorship and all. I mean, any opportunity they get to get the microphone and make situations look worse than they are, and I don't see this playing out well for us. And if we don't win the midterms, we're in trouble.
So to his point, I agree to a certain extent that this is a big deal, okay? And it could lead to many things, like a civil war. It could potentially happen where there's already states and go ahead, Billy Mack, you're leaving, right?
Yeah, nice to meet you all. I'll be back one day, hopefully.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
So Sergeant McGrew, in your perspective, right? I am also worried, like Cobrady is, in the perspective of, okay, we lived through 9/11. Okay, I'll have an argument with Dion later. I'm a firm believer that there's no humanly possible way that 2 airplanes took down 3 buildings. I'm in the aerospace defense industry. I know how thin that metal is. I know,
5 buildings.
5 buildings.
Took down 5 buildings, yeah.
Well, there we go. There we go. So it adds to it. So I'm one of those guys that says, okay, in my mind, that was a false flag situation that was set up by, we could call the deep state, okay, to control the people more. How do they control us more? The Patriot Act, right? Now we could fast forward to another false flag that I believe our organization, Red America First, believes was a psyop, completely mind F everybody, and that was COVID-19. The whole world went on lockdown of a variant of the flu. Meanwhile, you had a 99.7% chance that your likelihood that you're going to overcome it and nothing's going to happen to you. Meanwhile, you have all the progressive liberals and media influencers saying, oh, you need to take the test. You need to take the test. You need to take the test. False positives. I'm telling you guys, this situation seems like a false flag. It seems like it's artificially created, and I'm hearing the rhetoric on both sides. I see the uniparty, okay? I see both sides pointing the fingers, no solutions. Things are still going haywire. So, Sergeant McGrew, what do you think? What do you think's going to happen? Go ahead.
Well, I think God reigns, and He knows. And I think it's time where that this is a show. You started off with faith, and we better start leaning into God and giving our hearts to Him. And it's in Romans 12:21 where it says, "Don't be overcome by evil; overcome evil with good." Well, that's what you do. You start doing good. We have people that are out there on the front lines right now that we need to be supporting. We need to be supporting the law enforcement, whoever it is that needs that support them, and listen to them. If you don't need to be out on the street, don't go out on the street. But I can tell you, in every civil unrest, there's always an end to it. The devil just tries to bring chaos to the situation, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to create fear. He wants to create chaos, and God is a God of order, and He's a God of peace, and every battle belongs to Him. So I'm really not afraid of this thing spinning out of control, because we have the people that are out there. We got the prayer warriors, the intercessors. We've got the people that are doing the work on the front lines, the people that are supporting them. And so I've seen in every single case, doesn't matter how bad the situation gets, there's always good that comes from it every single time. And when I worked homicides, I used to tell the people, and I became the detective sergeant in charge of that detail. I said, you better watch for it, because that's what's going to keep you coming back. Because if you just saw pure evil all the time, you wouldn't even do that job. So I know that people are good. This is a great country. Doesn't matter what political views people have on one side or the other. We have a lot of good people here, and this is an amazing country. So I believe that America is just going to stand firm, and do what it always does and overcome something that, you know, if it's civil unrest, we're gonna overcome it.
I like your answer, and I want to tell the whole audience when we go into the intel round, the first two topics we're going to cover is now the 100%, no doubt, Israel's going to attack Iran. Okay, and also in parallel, we have this big emergent situation going on in Iraq. We're going to cover these things in the intel round because I'm here to tell you guys what's going on with these riots could be potentially a distraction of what's going on globally. So we're going to cover that. Dion, have you heard this similar details related to that? Go ahead.
Well, with Israel, it's going on right now. It just happened about an hour ago. Just started.
So they already are attacking.
Israel's, yeah, Israel's been hitting Iran for about an hour and a half now.
Oh wow.
So I'm here to tell you guys that's going to lead to more bad things globally. But anyway, let's see what Larry's got to say in California. Go ahead, Larry, with your second question. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, just a quick one. This is for Dion. Dion, earlier you said that you felt that we put the cart before the horse. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. It's pretty simple. You know, I was one of the basic person. I wasn't. I had my house raided by the FBI. I had to spend about $60,000 in legal fees for the January 6th committee, you know, hearing crap that I had to go through. I went to every single one of Donald Trump's indictments. I went to every one of Trump's, not the indictments, but his civil cases. I went to every one of them because I wanted to remember what they did to us since the day that, you know, the day that Joe Biden got into office. They immediately started arresting people that day. And they put the fear in us. And they put the fear in us so much that everybody stayed home. Nobody went out and did MAG, and nobody did anything. It took about 2 years before we started going back out again. And I know because I led most of them. So as far as them putting the cart before the horses, we should have arrested a couple people. Mayorkas, perfect. His case was already created for him when he was impeached. His articles of impeachment are just sitting there on Pam Bondi's desk to be arrested for all the crimes that he's committed. And they're listed in his impeachment. And the good thing is for a cabinet member does not have a double jeopardy for an impeachment. You can use that case. Pam Bondi can right now grab that case, indict him, put him in jail. We should have put a few people in jail for the crimes they committed against Donald Trump, but also against the American people, myself included. You know, it wasn't fun. So we should have put some fear into these Democrats, and that's why we're probably going to lose this war in 2026. Exactly what I just mentioned about not arresting Gavin Newsom, and that's why it was so easy for the judge to pull, you know, the National Guard from Trump back to Gavin Newsom, just because Gavin Newsom's there, he's not in jail.
Thank you.
Yep.
Very, very good question, Larry. Thank you for that. So, to that point where they were arresting and you know, Dion brings up a good point that, you know, Pam Bondi should make a lot of arrests. I see Obama, I see Clapper, I see Comey, I see the entire organization that went and created the Russian hoax, and they did unlawfully. They were tapping into Donald Trump's campaign. These things is against the American law. It's against the Constitution. So to Dion's point, arrest should have already been happening. Okay, accountability needs to happen. Look, there's so many corrupt people, so much evidence. These people need to be behind bars.
And I think that they're tied to a lot more things, and they can't just go arrest them, because if they arrest them, then it'll ruin the rest of the plan. So, in my opinion, but
Mike, you have a point to bring up. Go ahead. McGasel's on deck. Go ahead,
Okay.
Mike.
I was a federal agent for 22 years with the criminal division of the IRS. And what happens when you do a federal investigation, it takes a little more time because of the layers it has to go through. So for instance, it has to go through IRS attorneys first, then it goes to the DOJ attorneys, then it goes to the US attorney. So some of these things that are coming, it's not like they're not working on it. It just takes, it's a much longer process to actually get the case done. But when it is done, like when I was at our success rate was over 90% every time we went to court, because the cases are that strong and so many people had eyes on it. like for instance, Letitia James, I just want to give you an example. She actually remortgaged that place 9 times. They're going to charge her with 9 separate counts because every time was a lie. Now the FBI is verifying the information, looking over the documents. It's going to go to DOJ. Their attorneys are going to approve it. Then they're going to come in with the indictments and they're going to have a very solid case.
I don't think it's going to happen. Because at this point, and I did the numbers yesterday, at this point, Merrick Garland had 740 arrests under his belt of American citizens that went for a guided tour of the Capitol. Now, those arrests could not have been that easy. You know, insurrection. I mean, look at the charges. So, the friend that I'm actually going to Washington, D.C. tomorrow is the most indicted. 17 indictments he got. They got him in 12 days, 17 indictments. And then they put him in jail for 3 years and then didn't see a judge. So you say the process can be very fast because you only need probable cause to make the arrest. And then what you do is you just get them stupid, right? You don't even if you don't put them in jail because they get bond out or whatever, you can at least get them stupid and get them to react. So I just totally disagree that the fact that Trump can't indict Mayorkas for probable cause. He can't indict, Adam Schiff for probable cause right now. So
Dion, you are 100% right now. There's enough evidence to arrest so many criminals in our government that served in our government. Comey, we list Comey, Clapper. Clapper lied in front of the people and said, we're not monitoring their emails. We're not monitoring their calls. Knowingly, they are doing that. Okay? Comey, Clapper, Obama, Clinton, all of them, DNC, the whole Russian hoax. You guys need to get on board with this. Stop playing the card. Oh, it takes time. That fiddle, the strings are already broke and it's not playing anymore. Okay, so what do you say?
I'm going to go back. You referenced the Russia hoax and things like that. Well, Nellie Orr, Fusion GP, that group and all of them, the statute of limitations is already passed. They can't get arrested, as far as I know. And then, of course, you got Hillary Clinton with her known crimes of bleach bidding disc and all that. So she could be arrested. But my real question for the rest of the panel is, do you believe some of these bad actors still exist? Like Clapper and those guys.
I think Mayorkas is number one.
Yeah, but do you believe they still exist or they've already been arrested?
Do you think, what do you mean? Do you think Mayorkas has been arrested?
I'm not saying Mayorkas, I'm saying Clapper, Brennan, and those groups.
No. They still roam the streets. They still talk every day. I saw them at a conference, one of these clowns, like within 6 months.
My question was, do you think it's really them? That's my question.
That's out of my realm.
Look,
Mike wants to respond. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, what Merrick Garland did to the Department of Justice and to the FBI was absolutely despicable. They broke every rule going after the J6ers. They broke every protocol there was. I think Donald Trump wants to restore order, law and order back to the agency the way it should be. And I hope I'm right because these people need to be arrested. They need to go to jail. There's no question. But I know from being a federal agent, you want to go in there with a very strong case where they're going to take a plea to it.
Oh, hang on. If you've been to a Trump rally, and we've been to double digit plus, okay, and I know Dion has as well. I heard on day one, okay, and we're on many days, all right, and nobody has gotten arrested for what happened on January 6th. No one got arrested for what happened during the COVID fiasco, because we all know that should be laws, crimes against humanity. But here we are arguing about why they're still walking. I'm telling you why they're still walking. The Uniparty exists. They fist pound each other. Lindsey Graham fist pounds Kamala Harris. And we need to rise up from this game that they're playing, division, creating this rhetoric, the left, the right, fighting all the time. We need to be better than that and see the games that they're playing. We are not first on their list.
Well, most of them have dual citizenship with Israel, first of all. And then, so, I mean, I don't know. I should just, I'll just stop.
Susan wants to chime in from Hawaii. Go ahead, Susan.
I just wanted to, chime in and piggyback on what Migueso was alluding to as well, is that, and I've reiterated this more times than I can count, but enemy combatants and those that commit crimes against humanity are going to go in what court?
The military court.
Thank you. And that cannot be played out in the public. And there are certain media people that are invited to that. They do have to sign their disclosure because that will be, if this is a military operation, which I absolutely have all confidence that it is, that will happen at a certain date that is, by the military generals, that would be approved, at that point in time. So right now what we're watching is a really great theater of everything playing out, and everyone's waking up and everyone's getting the information. Nobody would bother to learn any of this crap if it was just done behind the curtains.
Thank you
So
for that.
I think that there are some people that are walking around on catch and release. And I do think that there are some people that are absolutely doubles, and you can tell by even looking at them. I think CGI is doing amazing. I don't know how many times Trump has said central casting, central casting, central casting, the mask, the voiceover. There's a lot of theatrics. So, we're going to see some arrests, but some we're not going to see, and some we'll see in retrospect. I just wanted to chime in on that.
Thank you for that. So, Dion, I know you're going to have to try, leave here in a little bit, but I want to tell you this, okay? You're always welcome to share what's going on in New York City and your state here with the Patriot family, Red America First, #Town Hall. So please come back and drive safe to DC tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys, if anybody's going to if anybody's going to DC tomorrow or Saturday for Trump's birthday party / military parade, I'm having a Trump for King rally at the Lincoln Memorial at 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, cool.
I'll make sure to promote it. Send me the flyer, Dion. Drive safe, brother. Okay.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, gosh, a lot of things being discussed. Cobretti, you pointed out that someone was trying to disrupt a meeting that was going on. Actually, a press conference. Yeah, it was a press conference with Kristi Noem. How do you think this is going to hurt the conservative base if a Democrat barged in, obviously creating havoc? How is that going to have a negative reflect on us if we arrested a guy that was causing chaos?
Well, they didn't arrest him, but I think they're going to continue to play this up as hard as they can, and they've already got their viral moment with the way that they're editing the video. So I mean, I watched, my dog's gonna start barking. I watched several senators address the House after it happened, and they're doing their typical whining about it, and they're not, and no one's going to really show even some of the popular independent news on Instagram or TikTok. They showed the other side of the video with the edited version. It's just not going to go well. It's just another incident where it's an opportunity to kind of push a narrative.
Okay. Sergeant McGrew, what's your take? What's your takeaway in the whole situation? You think we're going to have a good outlook on Saturday? I showed you the map. There was dots all over our country. We're just trying to warn our patriots, be safe on Saturday. If you're going to go in the cities, try to be equipped to protect yourselves from any situation. But what's your take? Have you heard anything? Do you want to share anything for people to get ready and prepared? Thank you.
Yeah, I just think being vigilant wherever you go is always important. No, you can put as many dots as you want on a map and say that something's going to happen, but that doesn't mean that it does. You know, when I did work in law enforcement, you have intelligence officers that are out there, they're gathering, you know, and you go through the intel, and you know what's real, what isn't real, and you know how to prepare. So I think that a lot of the law enforcement is going to be prepared. If they got credible intelligence that, you know, something may be happening, or I think a lot of them will be prepared just for peaceful protests too. You know, there's going to be just that too, where nothing does happen. People just go out, they have their say, and they go home. So I have confidence in America's law enforcement. I've worked with them. You know, they do tens of thousands of amazing things every single day. You may turn the TV on and see one bad thing, but the people that I worked with were of such amazing courage and character and restraint, and just incredible people. And so we're blessed. I mean, we are blessed to have that kind of law enforcement in our country. And it's the standard, you know. So I have confidence in it. And I have confidence in the American people too, as well. Not everybody has to go out and create riots. You know, you're going to see that in certain areas, but as soon as the bad actors get taken out, you know, in these riots, and that's what they do, they'll go after the people that are throwing the bricks, that are throwing you know, that are creating the problems. Those are the people that get taken out of the crowd. A lot of times what happens in a riot is that people they have anonymity, where they think that they can do anything because they're not seen. But once you start going and talking to them and saying, "I see you," and you're coming in the back of my police car, then that usually stops things like that. So they're well trained, and I think that, you know, you are going to see some things happen, but I don't believe that it's going to be as chaotic as some of the other folks that put that kind of information out want to make it seem like, you know, just to create fear, because that's part of what people do. You know, the people that are trying to create fear, they want to create fear. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Sergeant McGrew. And I do want to share something that hit the wire. Iran IRGC Commander-in-Chief Hussein Salami died in the attack from Israel. Strategic Commander Ali Rashid died. The nuclear scientist Dr. Tarakanchi, linked with weapons testing, he has died. The ex-atomic energy chief has passed away from the attack, and Iran has declared war against Israel. So I just wanted to update everyone on this, because we're going to go to the intel round in here in a little bit. So Sergeant McGrew, you're welcome to stay, and also Mr. Cobretti, I really hope we could keep you to stay as well, because these topics are very important for us to share with the community what's really going on. So really quickly, I want to go back to the idea that I was formulating earlier. These riots are staged. They're not true people. Real. It's all someone just said it was $200 a day or something like this. So I just want to put that out there, that this is a created event, and the media is showing only the crazy things, the fire, the breaking of cars. And I'm hearing from an LAPD police officer that I know personally that it's a very condensed area in downtown LA. It's not the entire city, okay? First of all. Second of all, when you see the media lying in front of your face, portraying, kind of like what Cobretti was saying early on, the media is lying to us. The media. He's right. And we have to understand that there's a percentage of people that will never get it. Okay. I could consider myself divergent, my wife's divergent, all of us on the show that could look beyond the propaganda and say, you know what? I think this is another false flag. You know what? They're pushing an agenda. If you're cognizant about that, try to pull other people with you, okay? Because we are in a situation where this is fabricated, and I'm worried about what the uniparty is going to pass. What's the legislation to protect American citizens, wink, wink, like the Patriot Act? What's going to come after this event, to take more liberties away? McGay, so you wanted to say something. Rob Ohio's got a question, and then we're going to go to the intel round to talk about this global conflict, because that could be a big change to our country. McGay, so go ahead.
Okay, let's put it in its proper perspective. We're in a world war. And back in 2017, at Trump's inauguration, standing behind him was the military leaders of all the branches of the military, including the UCMJ. With everybody swore an oath to protect our country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That doesn't mean enemies overseas. That means foreign enemies that are within our United States already, including members, as you allude to, uniparty, or people in politics or whatever. This is why we're under the rules and laws of war. We're not under the normal laws of the Constitution, let's say, because the military is the operation. This is about the continuity of government. It's about the restoration of the republic. And that's the war that we're fighting now. There are 12 cities that have basically been identified where major uprisings will take place. I think you got LA, probably the next big one is Chicago. There's a lot of things in Chicago going on right now. I don't believe New York is as safe as our previous spokesman said. And you still have Georgia, you still have all these major blue cities, including Hawaii, that are under our own form of oppression with our governors. And the mayor of New York may be strong, but the governor can overrule the mayor. And what happens within New York, it's already been done and proven. The police in New York, I believe, are on the right side of things, but that again is only inner city in Manhattan. So we have to look at, this is the continuity of government. This is why a lot of arrests you're not seeing take place out front, because we're under the rules of war. I yield.
Thank you so much for that, McGay. So Rob Ohio's got the last question of the night from members, and then we're going to go to state intel. So go ahead, Rob. Thank you so much.
The alpha and the omega, huh? This is for Mr. Cobretti. Let's, my first impression, you're a well-to-do man, well-spoken. You got a nice home from what I can see. How well do you know your neighbors?
Quite well.
Quite well. Well, I'm just thinking, because if things do go sideways and it spreads, those are going to be the only people that you're going to be able to rely on. Do you know them that well then?
I mean, I think they'd be relying on me more than I'd be relying on them.
Okay, I'm just asking. I just kind of got that vibe from you that, you would be prepared, but no man's an island. So
what's that?
No man's an island.
Let's just say that I am the island in my neighborhood.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you. Okay. Ashley?
Oh, thanks, Rob. Mr. Cobretti, you got to sign off. So thank you so much for coming tonight. And we want you to be open to the idea to come back.
Be happy to come back. It was great to be here. Also just really wanted to jump in quickly. The governors testified today too over the sanctuary city laws that they have and just got torched. And I would really recommend anyone wanting to take a look at that. It was really not only entertaining, but Nancy Mace especially went after Waltz, and that was really interesting to see. But also Elaine Stefanik went after Kathy Hochul and just absolutely obliterated her. And, what's happening, if I might just, leave on this point, a lot of the sanctuary city laws currently are what are creating a lot of the stuff that's happening. And so, in California specifically, I believe, Newsom wanted this to happen. He felt, this is my opinion, he felt that he could have his moment
This is his moment that he could control this narrative, and it got out of hand. And some people, I think, on the left feel like that this was his shining moment. But the truth is, I feel like that this was career suicide for him, because he and Karen Bass let this go, and let this go, and let this go. And it became the torch that just inflamed. And it's going to get worse, I believe. And I don't think that they're going to be able to handle it. But I would highly recommend everyone checking out the Padilla video and make sure you find it from the beginning. And I would recommend checking out the governors getting torched for their sanctuary city laws that impede ICE's ability to actually do their job. And look at the laws, even if you look them up on ChatGPT or however you want to look them up, but the laws that impede ICE from doing what they're able to do in those cities. It's disgusting. So thanks for letting me be here, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, and we're looking forward to having you come back, Mr. Cobrady. I like what you have to say.
You find me on TikTok.
We're a Patriot family. That's how I found you. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Sergeant McGrew, same for you. We would love to have you come back. What was your experience like on Town Hall tonight?
It was great. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And what part
We
of
appreciate you
California are
coming
you in again?
Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara. Okay, so you're a Rose Bowl pro, and you probably know.
Rose Bowl's that's down in Pasadena. We're about 90 miles north. So
Yeah, we took the kids to Santa Barbara.
So,
it's a beautiful place.
I used to rollerblade near your beach. There's the sidewalk,
okay.
but do you go to Pismo at all?
Pismo, yes, absolutely.
I love the dunes, and I think I took my wife. She had white knuckles. Okay, she had white knuckles holding on.
If you ever drive with him, you'll know why.
But riding in the dunes in Pismo, I gotta tell you, it's one of the top places.
We went to Hotel California in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place. It's a really cool place.
But we're honored that you came tonight. Hoorah, and let's keep in touch because we'd like to have you come back.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. No problem. So Rob McGaso, I'm gonna try to get Mike up here. Let's see, Mike's gotta be pissed. You know what's going on in the world. Ron, Nevada, get you up here. Shell.
Yeah, I'm here.
Shell somewhere. Let me see. Shell, Sandra, Nevada. We haven't been hearing your opinion, so let's get you up here tonight. Teresa Washington, Seattle's on the list for Saturday. Let's hear from you as well tonight to see what's going on. So Valerie and I, we're going to go into the intel round now, and we want to cover some very important topics, but we're also bringing panel members up to help us while we take our dogs on a bio break here in a little bit. But here's my opinion on the Israel-Iran situation. I'm still working on this picture. And this picture is going to show a spectrum of the right side of the political spectrum. It's very big picture, okay? You got aliens, you got body doubles, you got people that live under the ground, you know, in tunnels and stuff like this, you know, all this stuff, okay? And all multi-layered. But we need to express that this conflict with Israel, those that are on the ultra-right that followed the Q movement, and I know there's a lot of people on here that do, and there's a lot of people that don't, and those in the live stream, it doesn't matter what side you're on, okay? The indicators were Israel's last, done in 30. All right, okay, so that's a clue. I don't know what that means, but let's figure this out. Israel warned us that they're going to attack Iran in the next few days. They just did an hour ago. And we got confirmation that there's a lot of these Iran leaders that have passed away from the attack. And Facebook's limited me from posting this, okay? But my point is, what's going to come from this? My knowledge and expertise in aerospace defense, and I was in Afghanistan. Primarily, the sad news is because of the poppy seed. Do your homework. Afghanistan, poppy seed, figure that out later. I don't want to argue that point at the moment. When you're questioning about Vietnam, when you're questioning all these wars, why were they there? Why were we there? That's the answer from Ashley Weiss. I was there. I saw it. And we've been lied to about some stuff that transpired there as well. But anyway, let's move on to this war that's about to happen. When we were in Afghanistan, Iran was something we always surveilled. We have ways of looking. I don't want to go into those details, but we always looked at Iran. It's very obvious that we know locations of where some of these sites are. And because of Five Eyes, Israel is aware of where those locations are as well. So my point to this, I believe this is going to escalate out of control in the Middle East. You already know the conflict that's going on in Russia and Ukraine, and China is flexing and is really pushing to get Taiwan very soon. And I feel like if we remember June, this is the hot summer, and I think we're here. This weekend could be when it starts. The global reset, the entire thing is about the rolling ball. World War III could happen, okay? I want to remind everybody, a false flag has been communicated and it was going to be nuclear, and we need to warn people, all right? Get your iodine with kelp, and you need to take it every single day to mitigate. Don't be caught with your pants down. Honey, where are my pants? Don't get caught with your pants down when something actually happens, okay? We're warning you right now that a false flag's going to be coming. It will be nuclear, and we were told that it's going to be fake. Now, we need to figure that out when it happens, but also mitigate and prepare. So that's kind of my opening for the intel round tonight. Let's prepare for the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario would be World War III. Okay, so let's start now, because the signs are there. The Middle East is about to go on fire. Our country is potentially close to a civil war situation if Saturday goes crazier than some people believe it will. Okay, and I hope it doesn't. And be mindful of what could come from the uniparty deep state government out from the riot situation. Because again, some of us don't believe in September 11th. Some of us don't believe COVID was real and it was just push the big pharma situation and poison the American people. That's what we believe, okay? And I believe the riots is set up. I don't believe it's a real thing. I feel like there's entities that's pushing it. They are creating the havoc, and I see our political leaders, whether what side it is, I see them both doing this. Blah, 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 blah. When I see stuff like this, red flags come up, and I start questioning the narrative. I start questioning the scenario, and I try to rise up and be divergent and say, you know what? This is another fake event. What are they trying to do? I yield. Magaso, Rob, Mike, tell us. Israel just fired Iran. You're really connected to the biblical side of this. What's possibly going to happen, or do you think this is another, this is another Middle East scenario, and it's going to die down in a couple weeks? What do you say? And then Rob, Magaso, Teresa, Ron, Shell, you guys get up here and talk. Share the mic. Don't hog it for more than 2 minutes. We'll be back. Love you guys. Thank you.
All right. So in a nutshell, for Israel to do what they're doing, they had to have information that they were very close to a nuclear weapon, and they were not going to let that happen. Trump knew they were not going to let that happen. So we find ourselves where we are today, them taking them out. As far as Bible prophecy goes, Ezekiel 38 and 39 will happen years down the road. So I think that we're going to stop Israel from Iran from getting their nuclear weapon, and they're not going to be able to do much else because they're going to leave them incapacitated. Trump's going to cut off their money. They're not going to be able to retaliate very well, and I think it'll be over within a couple of weeks. And I yield.
Well, I think this is really the evolution of Iran and Israel. I think you might actually said a few leaders were taken out in Iran today. The Iranian people basically want peace. Israel really wants to get rid of Bibi, and the real Israelis need to take care of their land. So I think Saudi Arabia becomes the key player in all this at this time. That basically Iran and Israel will be neutralized, and during this transition, Saudi will have basically along with the United States, will have control of the Middle East.
Well, I don't believe in coincidences. We have all this about to break loose in the United States this weekend, and now Israel decides to hit Iran. Yeah, the timing is just too real. What I believe is going to happen is that, well, the first strike from Israel was a decapitation. They're higher ups. You notice the list of names? I've seen some videos where it showed individual strikes. These were not deep strikes inside, they were inside of a city. They were not at a nuclear complex. That tells me that they're decapitating the higher ups first. Now, Iran has threatened to hit the U.S. regardless of whether or not we were involved in it. So they're going to hit us, and they're also going to give the green light to all their operatives inside the United States. I believe that Saturday, everybody just thinks there's going to be a few isolated riots where we'll be controlling. But imagine if they take down our power grids, and it's not that hard. I can back in the 90s, a loose branch took down the whole Northeast power grid. You put people in it nowhere to hit, they can bring down everyone except Texas, they're on their own power grid. And you put the riots and they get amplified with people taking advantage of the dark, we're in for a lot of chaos this coming couple of weeks. So I believe it's all being done to bring down the United States. So
along with that, Rob, do you remember when we had to protect the waters? I don't know if it was during anthrax or whatever, we were guiding the reservoirs and everything. So it'd be very easy during an outage to take the water supply out as well.
Take the water supply out, just general havoc. And then we can, they can always get us fighting each other. Left, right, white, black. They can agitate us into it. People without electricity, without water, it's going to get very ugly if that happens. And I pray it doesn't.
There's another thing that came to light. I don't mean to interject again, but when the Marines get involved, that's when it's over. And the Marines have already moved into California. We got these parades coming up this weekend. This may be the time that each city goes through a major arrest and major things take place, because July 4th is not too far away. And that's supposed to be a big celebration. So,
and it's also supposed to be seeing reports where back in Palm Ridge and them from last week, one guy was talking about it where they were planning on mass casualty event July 4th, 285,000 dead Americans. I don't want to think like that, but you got to prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Susan and I were talking about the false flag the other day in California, for example, a radiological thing where it would cause a mass migration of people to leave, up to 1 million people to leave the area. That's one of the false flags floating. So,
yeah. Ron.
And remember, the Olympics are going to be there shortly.
Yeah.
In LA.
Okay, what's your take on it?
Well, my take is this. There's 25 million illegal invaders in our country. And they are being organized, they are being supplied, and by the Communist Party people, you know, and we're going to see a lot of bad things happen with these people. Now, Iran is going to turn their people loose. We're going to see forest fires starting all over the place. We're very susceptible to a lot of soft targets here in America. You know, like you said, the water supply, forest fires, and our first responders and military and police are all being taken up. Their time is being taken up with these riots. So that leaves a lot of America susceptible to a lot of things happening. I really believe this is a concerted, organized effort to take down the United States by the communists. And we have
Bingo.
25 million illegal invaders that were put in here. And I think it's just going to hit the fan. And Iran is not going to go away in 2 weeks. I think they're capable of lasting a lot longer than that, hitting us in Iraq, Baghdad, and hitting us in a variety of different places. And I think the shit's going to hit the fan, personally.
Well, hopefully everybody filled up their gas tank today. It's going to get very expensive. Just in the past 24 hours on people thinking something might happen, it's went up about 4.5%. So now that shooting started, it could go up as much to $5 to $10, I would say.
I think there's going to be people dead at these riots. I think it's coming. There's a lot of guns out there, and not only the good people have them, a lot of the bad people have them too. And I think we're going to start seeing that happen. And they're going to need to change the ROE, the rules of engagement. And I think the looters that are happening, they should be shot on sight. There should be no qualms about that. If you're looting, it should be open season on you, you know, and that rules of order need to be changed. And I foresee that the rules of order are going to need to be changed dramatically with shoot to kill. And I just foresee that happening.
Fortunately, you're probably right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the potential's there. 25 million illegal invaders into our country. They came in for a reason. And I think now's the reason. And now that Iran's acting up, and then you have China acting up in the South Seas over there, there's a litany of things going on that aren't good. And well, I just hope that the U.S. has backed up its people that are going to be getting hit by Iran, because they're going to need backups, not only just getting rid of people out of Baghdad. They're going to need people backing those people up when Iran starts really going to war with us.
Well, hopefully with this decapitation run that they've done, the younger generation of Iranians don't particularly like them. Now, it could go one of two ways. They could think of them as martyrs now. You know, it's one thing to have a crazy old man. It's another thing to have a dead crazy old man. I don't know which way that's going to run.
A lot of people in Iran are very educated, and a lot of them don't really want this, what's going on in Iran, being controlled by these religious zealots. And hopefully a revolution will occur there. And because I think the Iranian people are tired of being ruled by these people. And so this could be the beginning of a change in Iran, you know. And when Iran starts hitting the U.S., the president is not going to hold back. You know, he's going to send in the B-52s, the big bombs. And
who's friends with Iran?
Yeah, Russia and
Turkey,
North Korea, China, Houthis. Yep.
Yeah,
But
it sure sounds like everyone's dividing down to two different lines here. We may be in for World War III.
Well,
yeah,
Like I say,
look at the real insurrection. The real insurrection, I said before, enemies, foreign and domestic, are
yeah,
politicians who
yep,
sold out to other countries,
Mm-hmm.
pledged their allegiance to those countries. So therefore, they are foreign enemies,
yes, yes.
and they're inside with the information.
They're in our government, and that's the
Right,
problem.
right.
yeah, well,
Susan's
You
got her
remember,
hand up.
yeah, I was just going to just touch on something. WikiLeaks had published on 9/11/2021, where former general of the U.S. Army Wesley Clark on the military strategy after the 9/11 attacks, and quote, "We are going to take out 7 countries in 5 years: Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off with Iran." That was 2007, September 11th. And today, General Flynn posted something interesting. Attention, Israel Defense Forces targets and current sitrep. Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, are targeting 1, top Iranian political and science officials; 2, the reports of incoming Iranian ballistic missiles inbound to Israel; 3, top Iranian nuclear sites are being hit in Iran; 4, IDF targeting nuclear research facility reactors. Destruction of the reactors do not pose the danger major nuclear plants do. This is where Iran uranium enrichment takes place. 5, in Iraq, BIAP, Baghdad International Airport, is reportedly being hit as well, and Iraq is closing its airspace. Hitting BIAP is most likely hitting Iranian military personnel in Iraq. Why are they in Iraq? 6, Iranian Chief of Staff KIA, see photo below. Enough for now. Daybreak is occurring. Target damage assessment as well as massive diplomatic fallout will play out in the hours or days ahead. This is far from over. Action, reaction, counteraction. And this is the point. War results when political leaders fail. The United States of America cannot get mixed down another Middle East war. China is eating our lunch, and we have to get America back to fighting strength. So, someone else had made a reference too that we're looking in the wrong place. We should be watching China over this. So just some food for thought
yeah,
there.
Yeah, but
China's
when
got its own problems right now as well because their president has lost face. And I haven't seen him on any videos or anything recently. He may end up like the previous president of China very shortly.
Mm-hmm.
There's hope, but there's going to be a lot to happen in between.
Well, you say that we shouldn't concentrate on Iran, but when Iran attacks Americans and American assets, there needs to be a response, you know. And
Yeah.
I hear what General Flynn is saying. Don't get caught up on too many fronts. I understand that, but when they attack us, I don't believe that our president is not going to retaliate.
No,
Well, he will.
there was some point we get pulled in. Was it the entire Iranian general staff? This is according to Eric Daugherty, including the head of the general staff of the military and several senior Iranian nuclear scientists, all eliminated tonight, intel suggests. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, it is. That's great.
One
And
question that they
I heard the
haven't
military
answered.
too. The Iranian military has been, I mean, not the military, the Air Force has been disabled as well. Now, these are things I heard actually directly from the Middle East. So we're getting, we can get different intel than the news is going to provide.
How
I
did
don't
the
see Iran as
Israelis
being the
get
problem.
up to Iran? Did they fly over Saudi Arabia or what was their route? Does anybody know?
Yeah, they didn't have. They took out the Iranian missile defense system months ago, and Iran hasn't been able to replace it.
Right, but they still have to overfly countries to get there.
Yeah, I don't think that's been put out as far as how that happened.
Well, the shortest routes through Saudi Arabia. That would be very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
flies us, yeah.
I don't see
Sure.
Iran as being the problem.
Joe, what's your take on the Iran situation? and give us some data points. And then Mike will give us a new topic to discuss, and we'll go from there. Everyone, unmute sessions available, so don't be shy to unmute and chime in. Shell, go ahead, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go backwards with this. I'm going to go biblical perspective first. So this is my take. This is all related to the JFK assassination, who killed him and why. The JFK attempted to prevent Israel from acquiring nuclear weapons, highlighting the ideology of the Samson option, which is a strategy that involves taking down the world with that involves taking down the world with them if they are not if they're on the verge of defeat. This doctrine is rooted in biblical story of Samson in Judges 16:21-31, who brought down the temple on himself and palace in the Philistines and his enemy. This essentially was a policy of mutual assured destruction, that if Israel is threatened with annihilation, it will use its nuclear arsenal to cause global devastation, reflecting an extreme policy of a nation determined to survive and maintain its sovereignty at any cost. So the reason basically Donald Trump is using Israel to destroy Iran to liberate America from both countries, leveraging Israel as the attack dog with financial backing, exploiting personal animosity to direct Israel's loyalty, liberating America through Iran's destruction, consolidating power and global repercussions, reshaping U.S. foreign policy, dismantling the deep state's global networks, which is super important, elimination of Iran's nuclear threats. As of today at 11:44, reported that Israeli jets were mobilizing, redirecting U.S. resources towards domestic priorities, reinstatement of gold standard, which is equally important, tied to Iraq's revalued dinar. This weakens the international banking cartel linked to Israeli lobbyists, thus naturally removing U.S. official ties in their networks, hopefully including the removal of people like Chuck Schumer. This will encourage Saudi to realign us, isolating, remaining in the deep state. So anyone that's remaining in the deep state will be totally isolated. Only the truly knowledgeable on this subject, they've pretty much have been holding back their expertise or whatever they believe because, you know, things are still going on. So that's pretty much my take on it.
Interesting one.
Well, you mentioned Solomon, and Solomon's temples is a gateway for the Freemasons and that.
Exactly. I'm all about them Freemasons, baby. All about them. They're the key, pun intended.
Thank you very much, Shel.
You're welcome.
Amber, what's your take on it?
I'm trying to wrap my head over everything that's still trying to go on in Minnesota here. So it's kind of crazy here. I was just kind of reading that oil jumped $8 a barrel. I just seen. So I was just kind of reading that, and I kind of agree with you. I think it is kind of biblical and how it's going to go down. It's kind of playing out. Kind of interesting to see how this is all going to go down this next weekend, and what happened this past weekend is crazy.
Keep notes, because these are historical times.
That's for sure.
Whether it be good or bad, it's going to be fun.
Unless your power goes out.
Mike?
We got protesters coming to Ocala, Florida on Saturday from 10 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. That should be interesting to see what they're going to try to get done here in Florida.
Well, I just want to chime in on the Florida situation. Every sheriff, except Miami-Dade, I can't speak to that sheriff, but every sheriff has already announced, like Sheriff Grady Judd, don't mess around. We got guns. It's gonna get ugly, you know. And in our county, if you loot, you're breaking the law. If you do some violent stuff, you can get shot at and killed, you know. So I don't know if they're gonna do a lot of damage in Florida.
I don't think they're going to, but they're going to try. And I think what has to happen is they got to be smacked down and get the message that we're not California, we're not a liberal state, we're not New York, that there's a consequence and you're going to pay it.
On that note, I think Catherine, Colorado wants to report what she found going on in Denver. I'm going to share my screen with you guys to show some of these artifacts that she wanted you guys to see. And if you want to go ahead and unmute, Catherine.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I sent the,
Yes.
I found these flyers. They're handing them out all over Denver regarding how to protect yourself against ICE and how to help citizens who are here illegally protect themselves against ICE, and how to, I hadn't read it. It's been months. It's been a few weeks since I read it. So I'm trying to find it in my pictures right now. So we can go through it. But did you?
I have it on display right now.
Well, you know, I'm tech challenged, but anyway, if you look at the things that he has on display, it will tell you. You know, it's just basically telling liberals in Denver, which that's a large part of Denver, how to protect illegal aliens. And I will tell you that American men stand different than foreign men because they're under robes. And I see groups of men who don't stand like American men. They don't have any, they don't stand, you know, like men have a certain look to them, not that they all look the same, but they don't stand like these men under the robes stand. And I see a lot of brown men in regular street clothes without their, in groups in Denver. I've seen that. I don't know who they are, but they don't act like Americans at all. I've seen a lot of vehicles on the side of the road with groups of brown men staying in them for weeks at a time. I don't know. I didn't see the riots. I only sent a clip to you about the riots as seen on TV. I didn't see them. So that's I don't know that much about Denver. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Okay, that's fine. There's a Lori in Arizona. Let's get her take, and then Becky, Texas, right after Lori. So Lori, are you getting any indications in Arizona? Because here in Arizona, I'm pretty sure their Arizona's map was covered. Phoenix, Tucson, and I'll check the map of others. But how do you feel about everything? What's your take? And thanks for coming on tonight. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. And I don't really know that much. I know that Phoenix is getting geared up. Tucson is considered a sanctuary city. So that I don't know too much about. Where I'm at outside of Phoenix and Mesa, I haven't really heard anything, but I have a feeling in downtown Mesa that there will be something, because Mesa, we're totally Hispanic here anymore. That's really all about all I know, but I know for myself, I've kind of prepared the best I can, because it is kind of scary. I'm a single female and I'm just by myself. So, yeah, that's about all I know, Ashley, to be honest.
Well, no, thank you so much, Lori, for sharing that. Becky, Texas, what's going on in your state? Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, Lori, get a semi-automatic shotgun.
What I've heard about Austin is that they've already been protesting there. I haven't seen any video. And then I also heard yesterday that Governor Abbott has called for the National Guard to go to San Antonio. I just don't know if they've gone there yet or not. That's about it.
Okay.
Becky, has there been any news out of Houston? That's one of the hot spots. It's liberal and a lot Muslim.
I haven't really heard anything about Houston, mainly because I missed the radio station this morning.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
What, Shell? Since we're on Texas, what other
Make sure
things are
this is
going on in
muted.
Texas? Go ahead.
Can you?
There's also a Bitcoin reserve bill. The Texas Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill passed its final Senate revision and is now awaiting Abbott's signature. The legislation, has generated signature buzz, particularly among cryptocurrency enthusiasts. Immigration policy changes. Texas agreed to end its state tuition for undocumented immigrants. This is like so huge because a majority of, as a continuing educational student for my entire life, this is a big thing because this is how illegal immigrants, particularly here in Texas and all of our schools, that's how they get here, is by student visa. Promising of getting their education, in lieu of staying here. So. And then the National Guard deployment, which he just talked about. But yeah, in Houston, there's been protests. There have been somewhat calm. There has been a few arrests. So to answer your question, Rob.
Oh, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's a big area for petrochemical, and it doesn't take a whole lot to sabotage those. So,
yeah.
One of my big concerns for Texas.
Sandra, Nevada, Teresa, Washington, or Liz, Florida, Carrie, Hawaii, Kathy, New York. I'm unmuting you guys. First one up to the stage wins. Teresa, what's going on in your state? And I'm hearing Seattle's. I'm surprised Seattle didn't start the madness, to be honest.
Portland.
Yeah, I think their time's coming. I'm over on the east side and sadly in Spokane, in downtown, in Riverfront Park, which was actually the site for Expo back in, I think, 86. They had a World Expo
I'm hearing
there.
Spokane's going to have riots.
So, yeah, yesterday they actually had to lock down Riverfront Park there and have curfews by the mayor because of rioting already going on. So, thankfully, we don't live close to downtown. We're up rural in the farming area, but yeah, it's already gotten a little crazy, and so hopefully the curfews and the presence of the law farming area, but yeah, it's already gotten a little crazy, and so hopefully the curfews and the presence of the law enforcement will prevail. So yeah, that's what's going on there, and just a little bit. Have a governor that the new governor is bad or worse than the bad governor that we got out, and he's already stated a couple things. One is that if next time that there's a COVID type scenario, there will be no religious exemptions or any medical exemptions, and all will be forced to comply. Is one. A second thing that's going on is if you have a medical emergency, the state now gets to override your wishes or your family's wishes. And then the third thing is that any man of the cloth that has, like specifically, anybody that has the seal of confession, that they're bound now to the same rules as the secular people, like say counselors and any other reportable professionals. So they're no longer honoring any religious aspects. So yeah, it's a not a good time in Washington State, and we're working against those powers and trying to just fight it, but it's predominantly and very much much funding behind that. So, from the west side, from Seattle's side. So it's tough for us, but we're holding the line.
In Hawaii, they have the Hawaii State Teachers Association on their website. Join a No King's Day defiance on June 14th in Hawaii. But I know a bunch of people who are the patriots here are going out as well. So let's pray there's no, I don't know. So it's happening here in Hawaii too.
Plus, we have
Wow,
the
thank
Command
you
Day
for
parade
that.
on Saturday. So we'll see what happens during the parade.
Walker, California. I'm trying to unmute you. I believe you're in the LA area, if I'm not mistaken. If there's no comms, because you may be away. Let's see. Sandra, Nevada. I'm trying again. Kathy, New York. If you see the unmute, go ahead and unmute. For Sasser, are you ready for what's happening to South Carolina? We're hearing that there's going to be riots in South Carolina. Jennifer Sasser going once. Oh man, I'm striking out tonight.
Yeah.
Ron, Nevada. What's the next topic?
Well, I don't know. You caught me off guard.
Anybody hear
Bob,
about that
help 'em out.
representative in Minnesota that admitted she was an illegal immigrant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us
Yeah, I
about
seen
that
that.
and how 3 hours later she changed her mind, said no, that wasn't really accurate. Tell us that story. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. I kind of was watching a little snippet of it, and she went into saying how her dad put her grandmother as her mother on the paperwork, and that's how she became. So in my mind, I'm thinking, wouldn't that make all the stuff non and void and illegitimate then? So she would still be legal this whole time. Like that would make it non and void, correct?
It should.
Yeah. Yeah, she needs to be investigated.
Yeah, along with the other Minnesota, Omar.
100%. Yeah, that's a little weird. And this past weekend, let's see here, there was protesters rioting and getting in the way of FBI and ICE agents doing their job, trying to stop trafficking and drugs coming through like different restaurants and so forth. And they were protesting, thinking they were coming, ICE was coming and everything. And they ended up, FBI and ICE agents ended up, I think, confiscating like 900 pounds of methamphetamine and saving like 8 people or whatever from being potentially trafficked. And they were throwing rocks and everything at them and assaulting them, spitting on them, the agents and the protesters and everything. And it turned out to be not what they thought at all.
Wow. I seen that video. That was kind of funny. Nobody knew what they were doing.
Nope. And then I guess there was a $66 billion budget just passed in a special session. And then Tim Walz testifying at the U.S. House Committee. I was watching some of that today, and yeah, they ripped all of them really apart. But yeah.
Well, thank you for the report there, Jennifer Sasser, South Carolina. What are you hearing about the riots? And are you going to stay safe? Saturday, stay home. What's going on in South Carolina? Go ahead.
I really don't know much about what's going on. I've been working too hard, but anyway, yeah, this is South Carolina. We're a red state, so I don't think we're gonna start riots over here. Good luck with that in South Carolina. We're all a bunch of rednecks.
So don't mess with South Carolina is what she's saying. Well,
Yeah,
we're kind of
yeah.
saying the same thing about Florida and probably the Texans too, but somehow Houston and San Antonio and Austin had some problems this week. So,
Really?
yeah, they did. Yeah.
Well, typically it only takes 10% to not, ne'er-do-wells to
have
really
liberals.
swing things around.
Yeah, we have liberals here. I mean, there's some crazy liberals, but I mean, South Carolina's got scary rednecks. So I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you never heard about that? Crazy.
That's good.
Wow.
I mean, Trump supporters.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Becky, Texas, what's the next national topic to bring up tonight? Go ahead.
I was curious about Saturday's parade. I'd kind of like to know where's the best coverage going to be. I heard it starts
Well,
around 6:30 Eastern time.
my advice would be Real America's Voice or Right Side Broadcasting. That would be my favorite go-tos because I'm sick of promoting Fox. I'm sick of promoting anything else because they lied to the American people. Look, Hannity lied to you guys. A lot of the Fox hosts lied to you guys. I'm done with it. But I would go with the Real America's Voice or Right Side Broadcasting.
And did you hear? Is it going to start around 6:30 Eastern time?
Well, I don't have the schedule memorized. Valerie's saying it's 6 o'clock Saturday. And yes, there's a post about 6 o'clock is dangerous. That's right.
Okay.
So that could be a situation we got to monitor. But I'm not liking it. I feel like it's another potential scary situation because of the Iran thing. I love Trump. I don't want nothing bad to happen to him, but this is a risky scenario in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. I would get ready at 5 to just calm my day down and get ready at 5 to go to the right place. That way, when 6 hits, and don't worry. Usually these things are late because Trump's okay with being 10 minutes late. Trump's okay with being 30 minutes late. So don't think it's gonna really start at 6, but it might. Hell, I'm not gonna bet on it.
Well, apparently there's some cool stuff scheduled all throughout the day.
Oh, no, make no mistake, we're gonna be showing off a lot of our capabilities during this parade. And they already been doing some practice runs at Fort Bragg. And Trump witnessed some of those practice runs that they were doing. But with the nation on fire like it is, I remember, January 6th, Valerie and I almost went. Thank the Lord we didn't. But, I'm seeing another stage. What do you guys think? Miqueso.
Well, of course, there's going to be staged things happening around the country. We know that. But I'd like to talk a little bit about the Democrats are so big on due process. Well, recently in Hawaii, if you remember, Kayleigh Taylor has been on our show a couple of times. And her platform is to end human trafficking. Well, I think it's a week or so now, she was parked on the beach in the Honolulu area. And she was accosted by 4 police officers who pulled her out of her vehicle with no search warrant or anything, tased her 4 times, punched her in the face, kicked her all over her body. She has bruises all over her body. And then they confiscated her vehicle.
Miqueso, this is horrible news. Where is she now?
She's out of the hospital now. She's in a wheelchair a little bit. She's recovering. And her husband, Joe O'Connor, ran for Congress as well. And when she went to court, the initial charge was a misdemeanor against her, as well as assaulting a police officer. Now she's got body cam of all the officers beating on her. And they tried to get the body cam from the police officers, and they refused to release their body cams at this time. When she went to district court, they told her, oh no, we've moved it to circuit court. So without a hearing, and you can move a case from district court to circuit court if a felony charge is in. So now they've charged Kayleigh with a felony when she has done nothing wrong.
This is absolutely unfair.
Yeah, and this is her position and human trafficking, and we know we have a lot of human trafficking. So I was doing my own research into the human trafficking data, and there's no data kept within the state. They showed only 3 arrests basically since 2020 in human trafficking, which we know is not true. And the ones they reported were, you call them nothing burgers. And so this is a direct assault on we call it the patriots and the Hawaiian nationals, who are trying to state their own cases as well. And of course, we've had the illegal elections here as well, the unlawful elections. And most recently, I challenged the Hawaii state chair convention election, which I need to respond to by Saturday. The existing chair people, I think we showed the video briefly last week. So they're all doing the Illuminati symbols and all that. And this team appeared out of nowheres. So we know this is the big cover up in Hawaii of our politicians, not only dealing with COVID and et cetera. On the sideline with that COVID, recently, Tom Fitton, if you remember, come out with the Fauci dossier and
he sued. He did a lawsuit today, actually.
Correct. Well, we delivered that, Levana Lomer and I and a lot of locals delivered that Fauci dossier to our chief investigator, Mel Raposo, who is the chair of the county council here in Kauai currently. And he was the chief investigator. Of course, chief means you're the most knowledgeable, and investigator means to look into. And he said, basically, there's nothing here to look into. And they buried it. And 2 weeks later, he was with Zuckerberg delivering N95 masks to our children in the schools around the islands. So
wow,
all these different topics, from COVID to human trafficking to election integrity and all that, is all surfacing big in Hawaii right now. And the operations are here now. And we know this week, yes, there are demonstrations for, we'll call it the extreme left that occur on one side of our island, and the patriots happen to be on the other side of the island, doing our own flag waving and celebrating not only Trump's birthday, the birthday of the military, but it's also King Kamehameha's day as well. So a lot of movement here in Hawaii right now. I'm curious to see if the Congress would ever beat up on our Governor Josh Green, because I wasn't aware that took place. So I'm going to take a look at that. But trouble in paradise, let's say, trouble in paradise. And it's all coming to the surface because, as we've mentioned this a lot now, it's not the time to sit around and be quiet. It's time to expose them. So at least it's coming to the front with them. So when they're walking down the streets, people will start asking these politicians, is that true? Did you do that? Well, we got the video evidence. We showed a little bit of that in our unknown story, unheard American story. So it's now time, as we say, and it is a world war, and Hawaii is a trade route to the Pacific. So if you believe there's no human trafficking taking place here, no fentanyl flow, then you've got issues. I yield.
Thank you for that, Negate. So very good points. And gosh, I hope in the end Hawaii turns around, because it's very corrupt. It's not for the people at all. They're a quadfecta Democrat liberal state. So they got Supreme Court, they got the gubernatorial office, and they got both chambers. So, and the attorney general, and the list goes on. So it's really shady.
Ash, if I can interrupt there. What people don't realize, our governor is the most powerful governor in the United States. He names all the positions in government, all the key positions. Talk about authoritarianism.
So, Rob, what's the next topic? Let's talk let's share a little bit about this update about East Palestine. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, no, that's I got another one for you. The president of Mexico, she has made some very overt threats to the United States. Do you think that declared that's an act of war? She wants her people in America to resist. You know, that to me, that was stepping way over the line. And then one of their chief politicians also backed her up on it. Now, you know, she works, she's New World Order, and she's bought by the cartel. So that's something else we have to take in consideration, that Mexico may move against us. And they used a lot of misinformation saying we stole all those states, the Southwest United States, which I found out we bought for $15 million. Yeah, it was a good deal, but they're not talking about that.
Rob, can you share the exact quote?
No, I can't. It eludes me right now.
Okay, my data gurus that are out there, let's try. Maybe Shell knows. Maybe Susan knows. Maybe Teresa knows. Walker, if you're there, I'm trying to unmute you. Shell, what do you think about that? Do you got any data on that?
Yeah, I have data on all kinds of things that go around and why it's working that way.
Please.
So Eva Longoria, and she has a trafficking network in that area in Mexico. She has a foundation and a couple of other things that funnel vulnerable Latino women through her production companies that she has, and that's how she lures them in. Usually it's from impoverished areas, and it also involves Spain. They basically, when they do these production companies, they do these cattle calls, the people lured in, and then they go missing. She also has connections through Peter Thiel. So remember how Amber Heard had ties to Johnny Depp, who had ties to Elon Musk? That was how Amber Heard was lured in to the Silicon Valley, was through Eva Longoria's child, sex trafficking network. They also have ties to Dubai. A lot of their clients go to Dubai.
Hey, that makes sense.
I'm trying to think of anything else that would I'm just trying to be short with it because I have so much details, but
No. Go in one category and go into detail, and then go to the next category, because this is important.
Okay. So I have topics in each one. So there's cover-ups and institutional collusion. So Longoria's trafficking activities are shielded by institutional collusion and strategic philanthropy. In 2016, there was lots of leaks on the dark web from San Antonio city officials. I obtained them through FOIA requests, reveal pressure to suppress inquiries in Eva's foundations and her financial dealings after local journalists question its funding sources. The email referenced federal interests protecting Longoria due to her political connections, including her role as chair for Barack Obama's 2012 re-election campaign. A 22 FBI memo flagged Longoria as a person of interest in trafficking investigations, linking her to foundations' cross-border programs. That would also include Dubai, right? But the cases were shelved after interventions from a high-ranking DOJ official interfered. Her 2024 Bezos Courage and Civility Award, granting $50 million for philanthropy, is alleged to be a payoff to bolster her public image and defect scrutiny. Sources indicate that the award selection process was influenced by Lauren Sanchez, Longoria's longtime associate, who has ties to similar trafficking networks.
Wow.
There's also historical patterns of exploitation. So with these women that she's trafficked through like nightclubs, her production companies, there's unexplained cash flows. Like when you look into her banking registries and things like that she has like on the books. Nightclubs that her and Bezos co-own, restaurants, things of that nature is just very, very inconsistent. Victims' testimonies and missing people. So there's lots of people in Mexico. There's lots of people that have been tracked to Tijuana. They threw them through scholarship programs as well. Critical analysis. Basically, Eva, relies on her trafficking operations, which are sophisticated through legitimate businesses, through philanthropy, cartel-linked intermediaries, with Mexican billionaire Carlos Slim implicated as a key underwriter. Sources indicate that Slim, through his telecommunications empire, America Mobile, and real estate holdings, provide financial and logistic support for trafficking routes between Mexico, U.S., Europe, Dubai. 17 intercepted financial ledgers from anonymous Mexican whistleblowers from a Slim-controlled shell company in Panama revealed payments to an NGO tied to Longoria's foundation coded as charitable grants, but linked to cross-border transports of women. These funds allegedly facilitate safe houses in Tijuana, Ciudad Juarez, where victims were held before being moved to Spain or Dubai. Longoria 16, collaboration with Slims, Fundication, Telemix for a youth empowerment event in Mexico City coincided with a spike in missing women from the region per 2018 Mexican federal police report, suppressed. Slim's role is shielded by his philanthropy and political influence with Mexican authorities, alleging this was being ignored. So basically, that's kind of what I got. Hillary Clinton, she also has ties to Hillary Clinton. She's implicated through emails that were hacked through the Clinton servers from Longoria to Clinton's aide, Huma Abedin, also. She was also involved for a women's empowerment initiative in Haiti. Haiti's co-funded by Clinton Foundation and Longoria Foundation. She also has Hillary also has ties to Tim Tebow, if you guys didn't know that. That's super important because again, I've been trying to tell people that these people use this part of the Freemasons satanic agenda is they have to have the conservative the Christian nationalists, they have to have their philanthropy, they have to do all these things to make them look legitimate. So you guys believe that what they're doing is wholesome, that you don't look in that direction, but it's all lies. I also had this thought on a side note. Our currency isn't backed by gold or silver since 1971. Like other countries who back their currency or other countries who back their currency by crude oil or things of that nature. Our money is backed by children's sacrifice and drugs. And again, who is that transferred through? It's transferred through the cartel, who's equal to ISIS, who's equal to what have I been saying? The CIA. I yield.
I would just like to touch on the fact that Ricardo Bossi, who is the head of the Australia First Party, he's a white hat, he's military intelligence. And he put an interesting post out about a week and a half ago about Basel IV, also known as the Basel III Endgame, is a set of global banking regulations designed to strengthen the international banking system. It is scheduled to be fully implemented by July 1st, 2025, with a phased-in approach, according to some sources. The core objective is to ensure banks hold sufficient capital to withstand economic shocks. So, we're seeing the fiat dollar, the petrodollar, start to, fade in its muscle. This is the largest proof of everything happening now and in June. I will explain what Basel IV is shortly. Precious metals are under a tier system. Now we've seen 7 states or more now have signed on to trading in gold and silver. I don't know if you've noticed that, but that's been out in open source. Florida, of course, is one of them, of course. Currently, they are at tier 3. Tier 1 is the highest. On this journey, we have seen Basel 3 implemented, but Endgame, as you can see it, is being named as Basel 4. What is Basel 4 and what makes it so different? The two largest things are, one, it is a classifying precious metals tier 1. So precious metals are about to jump 2 tiers. 2, all banks must have collateral to survive. That means they must have precious metals or they collapse. So I do think that everything's going to happen at once. I think this is, coming from Ricardo Bozzi, I wouldn't take this lightly. And
Can we get him on?
Oh, it'd be amazing to get him on.
Yeah.
Help me. But send me a text. Give me his handles. I'll work it too. What good intel? What good intel, Shell? What good intel? Susan, good work. Valerie, loves what you guys are sharing. That's definitely what makes her tick every day when she's looking at this information. At the end of the day, everything's pointing into potential chaos, right? Dollar collapse. Already hearing oil prices are going to go up. We already know that there's going to be shipping delays that are going to be coming. Already exists. Okay, we need to stock up probably this weekend. So we need to share the message in preparation for an unknown scenario. Which, hell, we have confidence in a lot of things, but we can't predict what the enemy's trying to do, right? And I predict Saturday could be ugly, and it could twist things around where, I'm already seeing people getting upset about this, upset to the point where they want to join the fight in on the streets, and we could get to a civil war situation, right? There could be a nuclear conflict. We knew about the false flag. The first false flag nuclear event isn't really real. We're told, but we still need to have our iodine with kelp. We still need to mitigate. We still need to think the what if to prepare ourselves and our families, because we know it's a big possibility. We've been warned. We know that the things are hot right now. Susan just mentioned about these 7 states or whatever trading with precious metals. This is coming. We knew about the financial reset. We've been talking about it. Global reset, global reset. The king said it 3 years ago, whatever. And here we are. History repeats itself. I think we're at the 100-year mark. Everything's going to come down the pipe. Great Depression, global, could be global, and then we're going to go right into World War III. It might all happen really quickly. It might not. I might be crazy. Maybe nothing happens. But it doesn't hurt to go on Amazon or to your local stores and get your iodine with kelp, get your ivermectin, get your necessities that won't spoil, right? Get your rice, get things like this that'll last a long time, and get a propane tank. Prepare. We're going to have a prepper show for a reason, because when things get ugly in the 2030 era, remember, depopulation's their goal. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They only care about the money and the deep state games that they're playing behind the scenes. They're passing illegal stuff before. They're going to do it again. I yield. I talked way too much. Love you guys.
Well, there is a saying to plan for the worst and pray for the best. In regards to your Mexican president, the Mexican president who threatened to mobilize the country against a Republican proposal to tax remittances that advocates to choke off the cash flow to the Mexican drug cartels. The actual quote was, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum raged against the proposal in a speech against the law, which imposes a tax on money sent out of the United States by foreign nationals. If necessary, we will mobilize, Steinbaum says. We do not want taxes on remittances from our fellow countrymen from the United States to Mexico.
Okay. Thank you,
That's what she was
Magaso.
talking about.
I have a quick question. Since Ashley, this is questions for you. Since you guys are doing a prepper thing, have you guys come across the cult group called the Base?
No.
Be careful. They're a group of people who basically their slogan is "Save your race, join the base." They email through Proton because they believe that, well, it's Proton Mail is not in the States, and they use anything that's encrypted to try and, recruit people to their program. The base has rules when they send out video that the next video has to be better than the last. Members are international. They're from Australia, South Africa, Canada, UK, Germany, Norway. They have cells, one called Halloween Hate Camp. That was an actual cell's name, Hate Camp. Members had monikers like Pale Horse or the Pestilence, Eaters of Souls. They do hand-to-hand training, firearms training, Flexstar. They used a certain type of Flexstar camouflage that comes from Germany. Yeah, they're a group to watch out for. Be careful.
Are we at the point of the Obama movie?
I want to study that. Send me a text about that group. And then Rosemary's got some updates that she wants to share. I saw she hopped back on. Rosemary, go.
Well, I've been watching what's going on between Israel and Iran. Israel has done preemptive strikes, more strikes in Tehran. They have taken out their nuclear, some of the nuclear facilities, and also the ballistic missile facilities. They are trying very hard to do what needs to be done very quickly. So they've targeted Parchin, which is a military complex near Tehran. They've also killed the commander-in-chief Salami. So many of the important people have been killed, and the strikes are still going on. So many of the senior Iran leaders have been obliterated, and they're continuing. And I understand we have many Iran terror cells here in the United States, and we have to be very careful about that. So that is something many people are not, too aware of. So a lot of this is still going on, and Iran says they are going to retaliate against Israel. So far, what do you call? Rubio has said we are not in this war. We are not involved in any of this. So we are, the United States has not taken part. So hopefully we will not have this. And Tim, what's his name from? What is it, Virginia or
Tim
Carolina? Not Tim Walz, okay. The fellow who ran before, what's his name? He said that he was praising Trump, and he said he doesn't know why Israel would have struck Iran, because we are in these negotiations, and Trump was negotiating again on Saturday. We're so close to getting some kind of an agreement. So he was praising Trump, and Fetterman said we must, support Israel. So they are all, involved in their, in this, skirmish right now. So it could turn into escalate into an all-out warfare, or Israel might be taking out their, their what do you call their nuclear facilities, their nuclear the nuclear areas very quickly. So we don't know what is going on, but this could be over very quickly, or it could go on. But right now, it seems Russia and China are staying out of it as well. So that's where we are right now.
I think if Israel took out their key military things in Iran, and a lot of their leadership has been taken out, this is prime time for the people of Iran to overthrow the government.
Yes.
And has been taken out. This is prime time for the people of Iran to overthrow the government.
Yes. Exactly what they were saying, that the people can take over the country again.
Yep.
So.
Good. Thank you for that update, Rosemarie. We love you dearly. And how are you feeling in this hot summer?
Well, so far I'm staying in the air conditioning, but my friend Karen, she's my neighbor also. She happens to be a doctor, and she said today, "You're coming into the sauna." She has a big sauna that she bought, and into the hot tub, and into her cold swimming pool. Mine is warmer. I keep my swimming pool warm, but we were, very relaxed in doing that. So I had a relaxing day. So, but
Very
here
nice.
I am now, very, non-relaxed with all of the activity going on in the Middle East and the uncertainty of where we are going with regard to this whole, fiasco. So it's going to be very interesting. We'll see tomorrow what happens.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you for that, Rosemary Walker, California. Are you there?
Yes.
What do you think about all this that's going on?
I think we're all in for a whole rude awakening. Trouble's coming.
Oh, fellas.
I'm on the. Trouble's coming.
Oh, fellas.
I'm on the. Y'all need to. Oh, sorry about that.
Blow up that nuclear.
Go ahead and talk.
Well, with the stuff that's going on here in LA area, it's looking ugly. I don't know if y'all know, but Phillips 66 announced that they are leaving California ASAP. That's 28% of all of our diesel and gasoline and all different fuels. So I don't know if you heard about any of that.
Why did they make that?
One, taxes, and then Gavin Newsom always trying to find a way to rob and steal from the people. You went blank.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then the stuff was the riots.
Walker.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
So the riots, you were going to say, I was just going to say, we really like some of the things you bring up. So you go.
Well, I mean, it's, California is being in a third world country over here, and you've got everything dirty. Y'all have real sheriffs over there that, stand up and, I like when your guys' sheriff says, we fill them full of lead. They ran out of bullets. That's why he is.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting work at the same time. I apologize. Can I mute? Can I be muted?
Yeah. Go ahead and mute. Let me try to mute you. Well, that was some good feedback there. Holly, Nevada.
Phillips 66.
Rob, what's the next topic?
Oh, yeah, I gave the last one.
Let's go East Palestine.
Well, let's talk about another in Ohio, we had another chemical release this past week. It was down by Hocking Hills. They released 5,000 gallons of nitric acid, and they had to evacuate a town for pretty much 10 hours, which this is down in more of the scenic area, way out in the boonies. But it just seems like one after another, we're having chemical releases, and the nitric acid that went up, half of it spilled, the other half turned to vapor. And that's going to kill off a pretty good portion of the forest down there. So we're not improving on our safety records.
Must be climate change.
Yeah, that's the problem with industrialization. You can't always control it.
Has anyone addressed the New York situation with the cows, where they want to eliminate numbers of cows from the pastures and the dairy farms because of the gases they're emitting, and that is a factor in climate change. So they want to have legislation that will take down the cow population, and people will have no milk and no cheese and so forth.
So we're actually having a global warming slash, this whole hoax that's going on related to this scenario. Because look, cows can have gas. It's not screwing Earth over, okay? And we're gonna have this. What? Do you know what day that is, honey? What day that is?
Oh gosh.
July. It's July. Is it?
Yeah, it's July for sure.
Okay, it's in July. We'll get you guys the dates. But
I think it's either the
bottom line is,
third week, maybe.
the New Yorkers need to know the truth. The cows can have gas as much as the BLM are riding on the street. Okay, the gas
Well,
isn't going to do.
Actually, cows don't fart; they burp.
Well, they're saying they fart. That's
Well,
the
that
problem.
shows you
That's
how
why
much they
think
know,
it's
wasn't
stupid.
the
Exactly.
We need to educate the people. At the end of the day, it's a hoax, and they're pushing agendas so they can control the food supply, so they could do what? Depopulate.
Of
That's
course.
ultimately always what these things end up to leading to. Rosemary, what's another topic?
Another topic, what's happening in Florida, the money that was given to DeSantis's wife for the Hope Foundation there, and who knows what will happen there, because she wants to run for governor, and money was siphoned to her through the tax funds. So that is being investigated. And that's the only thing that is really happening that I know of in Florida right now, other than the heat wave.
Yeah, we definitely need our rainy daily season. It's been teasing us here in Central Florida, giving us a couple of days of rain and 70-degree nights. Gotta love that.
Oh, gee.
But Florida's politics for the last 5 years, you got the GOP leader threesome situation, and now you got the governor and his wife with this money laundering potential situation. So it's been a real interesting scenario, I have to say. Anything else, Rosemary?
Well, Byron was supposed to be at a fundraiser this weekend, but the president has called all of them up, and I think it's because of the parade and so forth. So that's been postponed till October 1st. So he's our gubernatorial candidate as well, and that's the one that Trump has endorsed.
And you have a picture of who?
You with him, of course.
And Valerie too. And Valerie.
And Valerie, yes, it's both of you. But I have that picture, and we will, we'll keep everything till October unless I have an opportunity to go to another function with him or send it. We'll see exactly what we will, decide on doing with that. Okay.
Thank you so much
What's
for
the
that.
update on Tom? Anybody know?
Tom, Tom was on. He probably fell asleep, but
Prayers work because
prayers work.
he's good.
He
Thank the Lord.
He's been hanging out with Valerie and I a couple times since then. So thank you guys for that. He's back on his feet. So good job, everybody.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Yeah, praise the Lord. Amen. So Kathy, New York, I'm trying to ping you. Jaylene in Nebraska. I'd like to know what's going on in your state as well. Holly, Nevada. Geez. We're going to have to go to the next topic if you guys aren't going to talk.
Can I ask you a question? For Red America First, we talk about the blood of Christ and so forth. And can we add all the blood that was shed for the freedom and liberties that we enjoy in this country? Would that be a possibility?
Can we do one?
But I don't understand the
What's
question.
the question?
Red America First.
Yep.
Red stands for the blood of Christ.
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Can it also include all of the blood that was shed for this country
True.
previously for giving us our freedom and liberty? All the
It could.
Yeah.
It could, yes.
Yeah. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, or
That might.
watering
I'm
the
glad you brought that up because we've been struggling with this topic, Ashley and I, for probably like 3 weeks now.
Oh, really? Okay. So
Yeah,
I'm glad I
because
brought
of
it up.
fundraising.
Well, we're having identity crisis, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure
Well,
it out.
yeah, because
We
I
don't
was
need to.
thinking.
We're still live, so we don't need to discuss.
What were you
Okay.
saying?
Okay. All right. I just thought.
Rosemary, are you talking about the bloodshed to water the tree of liberty?
Well, the blood by all of our ancestors, the pioneers, the people who shed blood to bring, during the Civil War, we had, blood that was shed in the United States for, many reasons, many wars and so forth, many battles to bring our liberty, to maintain our, our standards, our country and what we believe in.
Okay.
It's a thought. I don't know, but it was
No,
just a thought.
it's a good suggestion. We're gonna definitely add that to the idea. Okay.
Okay.
Anybody wants to bring anything else up before we go into open mic, and I'm gonna shut down the live feed. Anyone wants to share anything else that's hot and worthy of discussion?
About Elon Musk apologizing to Trump.
Yeah, let's talk about the whole Elon Musk Trump thing. I think they had this social media back and forth, and Elon Musk was talking about Epstein files and talking about all this shady stuff, and then Trump's like, well, we're gonna have to pull some funds back here. So what ended up happening, Miguel? So tell the audience.
Well, he made a tweet and he says, I think I went too far in what he said about Trump. So
yes, in
but
fact,
then again,
I
is it
think they want to talk.
It's Elon 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also read that the Trump sign, part of the cuts that they made was to the EV gifting, where if you buy an EV, you get like 7,500 off. That he highlighted that, and Musk agreed to it. So maybe they're on the mends.
He
I
also
don't
removed
think
the ED mandate from California. They removed that. So that's no longer, that's going to really hugely help the auto industry, getting rid of
Yeah.
that California EV mandate. So that's a huge thing.
Well, that was illegal because you can't force somebody to buy something they don't want. And
Obamacare. They forced us to buy that.
That's right.
well, I don't think they could force us to buy this product because many people like to do what they want to buy, what they want to buy. So it would be illegal. It would
The
be
problem was it
infringing.
forces the auto industry to have to make certain cars to
Mhm.
fill those mandates, which they don't want to do. And so, like I said, it's a tremendous alleviation to the auto industry as well.
Yeah, it infringes upon the freedom and liberty not only of people for their choice of products, but also for the industry that they would be forced to produce certain types of vehicles, and that that's really communistic. So
Yeah.
it's not really
Yeah.
it's not really giving us liberty that we need.
Wouldn't that same
Central
logic
planning.
apply to the vaccine?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, speaking of which, RFK Jr. fired most of the vaccine advisory
Yay.
administration. So that was a beautiful thing. And
Yeah.
brought on Dr. Robert Malone and company, which is a huge boost to bringing truth and transparency to, the vaccine exposure. So that's a huge thing.
Mhm.
Well, folks, I'm going to call it a night. My eyes just will not stay open. But happy Father's Day to all the men
Happy
that
Father's
are
Day,
Right.
Ron.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy
and
Happy
Father's
Father's
Day.
Day. Thank you.
Great
and
weekend.
I'll
Bless.
see y'all next week.
I'm it.
Next
You,
All right.
good
Good
night.
night,
Good
Rob.
night.
Good night,
Good night.
Good
Rosemary.
night, Rob.
Good
Good night,
night.
Rosemary.
It's the witching
Night.
hour. Good night. Good
Good
night.
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 All right, so we'll continue probably for just 30 minutes or so. Let's see who hasn't got this. Teresa, what's some other topics that we missed at the national level that you may have caught and want to bring?
I think that there's more awareness of what's going on with the spraying in the air. They're really now testing what's coming out of the rain, and they're finding that it's well, my thoughts is they're definitely advancing the human interface with AI agenda, and yeah, for sure enough, they're finding that the bloodstreams of us people walking around, they've found the strontium and all these other items in people's blood, and things that displace certain minerals that we need to have, barium, aluminum. The stuff is found in our blood, so there's no getting away from it. And it's like you were saying about having the what was that element, for the nuclear fallout? I've got it, iodine. But also, find ways.
I don't
Yeah.
tell.
Yes. So I mean, just the awareness that this stuff, this smart dust, is a real thing, and there are scientists that were studying and finding this now, and so cleanses, flushes, anything that people can find or do is very important. So
Thank you, Teresa. Good data. I'm glad people are double checking the water. I'm with them. I don't trust it. They're saying Florida's got this law, but I still see some trails going once in a while. So I throw the The red flag. The red flags, you could put BS on it. You could label it how you want. But I call it how I see it. You know, I'm not big into believing the data that they push. I'm not big into believing the loudmouths that get paid to be loud and say what they're told to be said, scripted, right? I'm not big on following them. You know, I know people personally that have autistic children, and they told me it was from the vaccines. I don't care about what a liberal wants to argue that, oh, there's no data to support it. There's no data to support it. Who told you that? The people that's hiding the very problem. That's who told you that. You morons. Listen.
Circumstantial evidence, Ashley. There's never been a baby that's died of SIDS the day before they had a shot, ever.
Usually when the 3 days of a vaccine.
Or the day of. That's when they see
Yes.
SIDS, even a single shot. Yep.
And we could take the horse to the lake to get a drink of water, but it's up to the horse to drink the water. We told everybody, don't put the mask on. It's going to give you the symptoms, wink, wink, of the over-exaggerated flu. Don't go to the hospital. They're going to put a ventilator on you, and you're going to drown and die. I know people that went to the hospital, and they died. I told people, don't take the vaccine. My reasons were, there is no possible way they could have proven there was no adverse reactions to it. That in itself should have been the red flag to everybody. Whoa, I should probably stay the hell away from that thing. No one, they just put it together. They didn't really test it. No, they got online because they wanted to go on their cruise. I mean, Dr. Robert Malone came on this platform. He took the vaccine so he could go on a cruise. I almost had diarrhea purposely because of what he said. And meaning I almost pooped my pants, what he said. It's crazy because he knows the dangers of what vaccines bring to the table. They're not 100% effective. And if you think they are, you're crazy. You know what's 100% effective? Drinking water, eating salads, eating nuts, fruits, vegetables. That's effective. Anything man-made, I don't trust it. As far as they advertise it's going to do this and that, and they promise the world, and then they have this disclaimer that's 20 pages long. But if you have blah 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 blah, see a doctor.
You know,
Guys.
Ashley, you ought to see if you could get Del Bigtree, from the High Wire on as well, because he dropped a real bomb just was it within this past week that he alluded that in September it's all going to come out about the vaccines. It's all going to be revealed, and it's going to be a complete meltdown. It's going to be, with the public. It's all going to be released, and the meltdown is going to be absolutely carnage. So be an interesting person to bring on for an interview.
Thank you. Yes, send the information to Valerie and I, and we'll work it.
Personally, I'm glad that Ashley didn't poop his pants. It would have contributed to the carbon footprint.
I love you, brother.
Okay, so
true story. True story. Megeso was in a deep state situation. He was on dialysis. I snuck in ivermectin. God's good. He's alive. He's been doing great. Megeso, we love you, brother.
Yep.
I always have your back.
Absolutely.
That's a true story. That's a true story.
Frightening.
Probably didn't have COVID.
No, but they probably tried to pin it on you, didn't they?
They tried to give me every vaccine that was available.
Oh God, yes, fierce.
Yeah. No, thank you. But yeah, the power of the Lord.
Yes. That was a close call, wasn't it?
We do good deeds all over the country. We try. So
yeah,
we love you. We love you, McGay. So Ron, Nevada, what's the next topic? I gave you probably 45 minutes to come up with.
Well, I haven't been thinking of it. So I don't know.
It's all right, Ron. It's all right. Well, darn it. I can't pick on Rob. Shell, give me something.
I have, let's see. Oh, no. Okay. The military secret experiments at Fort Detrick. I delved into the 2019 closure of Fort Detrick, which was officially attributed to safety infractions, but is rumored to conceal covert experiments on humans. Officially attributed to safety infractions, but is rumored to conceal covert experiments on human subjects under the veil of military secrecy. Allegations of unauthorized testing involving both soldier and civilian tied to the facility's biodefense backgrounds hinted at a potential scandal capable of shaking the foundations of decades of defense policies.
Can I break in for a second, y'all?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is Walker from Cali. I'm gonna have to go. I gotta take. Ashley and everybody, y'all have a blessed night. I apologize for banging out, but I've got to do this. I didn't mean to interrupt your time, lady.
Thank you, Walker.
Thank you.
Y'all have a
Walker.
blessed night.
Good night.
You too.
You too.
Good night, ma'am. We'll see y'all.
Well, that's nice. We're trying to build our Patriot family, so always try to bring more people to the show, get them involved. We're all pretty smart, you know. We all have different data sources. We all have different expertise, and when we come here, we share information, and we've been pretty accurate. We told people, and we'll continue to try to warn people when we see things. And I'm just being upfront. I don't like what's going on with these riots. I don't trust what the Uniparty's going to do with it. I hope we don't get into a World War III situation with this whole Iran thing. But you know, they're radical. They're radical, so they just got attacked. Come on, what do you think they're going to do? This is going to turn into it's going to escalate, and I hope it doesn't.
It's only a faction.
We all have to have each other's backs and prepare.
I was going to say, it's really only faction cells of Iranians that are the real problem. The people are not the problem. The people are ready to overthrow that government. And this could be the trigger point. So I'm not concerned about Iran. The cells are here, yeah, and that's part of the military operation to get the cells out of the United States.
I got something, Ashley.
Yeah, let's go. I'm pumped up.
All right. You know, I listen to a lot of commentators and on the radio and stuff, and everybody's talking about the reason the Democrats don't want the illegals to leave is because they want them for the vote. But that's not necessarily the whole story. The other part of the equation is the Democrats want the illegals here so that when the census is taken, they can gain 17 extra seats based on the population.
That's correct.
When they count the census, and
So
that is going to be a major turnaround. And that's why they are fighting tooth and nail to stop Trump from getting rid of these people quickly. Think about it, 25 million people you've got to get rid of in 4 years or whenever the census is going to be. But they're making it so difficult for him to get rid of these people, it's never going to happen. And they're going to end up gaining congressional seats just based on the census. And everybody's missing that point. Yeah.
And those 2 points, Ron, is 100% accurate. And I want to remind everybody, this is Lyndon Johnson's playbook. Okay, it was always about get the migrants in the projects, get them in the projects. We got to go to the doors, knock on the doors, and remind them who they got to vote for. It's the same playbook that they're doing now. Let the illegals come, let the illegals come. And you're right. They're trying to expand their base. Now, God willing, fingers crossed, we can actually clean up the election systems in all of the states. I have doubts, but I feel like we're getting played. But my wife and others pull me back to say, let's get in this fight and let's not give up. But I just hope we're not getting played. I yield.
If you look at
right now,
what Congress
California would lose 4 seats.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's other places that would gain based on the number of illegal invaders in their state. And that's another thing. Words are important. And everybody calls these people illegal immigrants. That's the wrong wording. They're not just, they're invaders. And that words matter. And they should be labeled as such. I cringe every time I hear people say illegal immigrants. No, they're invaders and they should be called as such. Words matter.
That is a strong opinion, and a lot of people will stand behind that. I do want to point out one thing because I grew up in California, okay, and I knew Mexican people that were living in illegal status, okay, and it was all under the table, and the kids went to school. It was crazy, okay, and I lived in these communities. Look, don't get me wrong. The Mexican culture, in my opinion, based upon my experiences, they're into family, they're into working hard, they're into religion. Now, there's the cartels and the bad ones that we always hear on the news. I'm just trying to give some vouchers out for the Mexican culture. But going back to your point, this is the Lyndon Johnson playbook, and they're trying to expand their base. I can't take it.
Well, people need to go back and revisit the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo too, because that's one of the contention points with Mexico and this deportation, which is a political football, really, because the treaty was also done under coercion, and it's very interesting if you read it outside of the school textbooks. The history of it is very interesting. So I would just say I think it's worth visiting that, and interesting as far as symbolism that they had troops that were they were positioning themselves outside of in the near proximity of the Alamo, which to me was it was purely symbolic that they had that, a little article, more than one article about that recently because of bringing them into San Antonio. So, I just think that there's a lot more going. I think we are going to see some interesting borders that could be challenged. Where they go, I couldn't begin to say, but I think they're, you look at Saskatchewan, Alberta wants to be part of the United States. They're fed up with the Canadian government. There are parts of Eastern Washington and Idaho that want to, they want to withdraw from the Washington state and create their own borders. I mean, we're seeing, a lot of people wanting to, and then there's of course the whole California coalition that wants to secede from, the western part of California. So I think we're going to see at some point some borders, shifting a little bit, and I think that's going to make
Right.
people's heads come off. But it's just, I think, a very interesting prelude to what what's coming in the future. So the Guadalupe Hidalgo Treaty
Yeah.
is
Thank you for
interesting.
that. So Ron, I remember what I was trying to convey to you. I think drawing that line is tough because there are people in Mexico, for example, that do cross the border with good intentions in a sense of trying to have a better life and not necessarily crossing the border for the political reason, like this invasion that you're talking about. I mean,
agree. I
if we
agree.
were born if we were born in Mexico and we were I would say smarter than the average Mexican, we would jump the border too, because you have a better life in America. And I see the Mexican culture that I grew up with. They really didn't deep down. They didn't really want to create chaos or havoc or go hold a gas station hostage to get some cash out of the register. They worked, they paid their bills, and they tried to be good people.
I agree.
And
I think the Mexican people in general are hardworking, God-fearing, family-loving people. And I'm not talking about those as far as being the invaders. There's 25 million people came in, okay? A lot of them were invaders, okay?
we're pushed in for the agenda. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I agree with you on the Mexican people. They are hardworking, God-fearing, family-oriented people, and they just want a better life. And I understand that. But my point is, out of that 25 million, there are a lot of illegal invaders that came into our country. And they're the good ones that are starting up the
And this
riots. Yeah. Go ahead.
And this is what frustrates me too about California is it's always the Mexicans get singled out. There's other illegal immigrants that's crossed our border on the southern border. There's Asians. There's been China. China is a very big adversary that we're kind of in a sense scared of, and I'm just gonna admit it to you guys. We're in the way we're kind of concerned and we're watching them, and it's there's pressure going on with that. So when China people are crossing the border, they're infiltrating into companies, into colleges, and who knows what they're stealing. I've been told that the Chinese I've been told that the Chinese country has stolen more intellectual property from America than any other country in the world. Okay.
Granted. Yeah.
And
There's a
What,
number.
what,
so we got to think about those guys, and then let's not forget about the radical Muslims too. The radical Muslims are crossing the border as well, and they're gonna create havoc. They're running people over. They're
they're
causing
siding with the
fires and threatening
liberals.
people all.
Yeah, agreed. And I was really kind of that Trump made agreed to a China, and then we got a 10% tariff of what's going out to China. But he also agreed to allow the Chinese to stay in our universities. And I was really disappointed to hear that, because that's where they that's where they get the intellectual property. That's where they steal the knowledge is in the higher education, and he allowed them. That was part of the deal.
So let's talk about these tariffs. You just give us the percentages again, and let's realistically think of balance of power. Who's really winning?
50% we're charging China. Their stuff coming in gets tariffed 50%. Our stuff going to China gets tariffed 10%. Okay? That was the deal that was just made just recently, along with allowing Chinese university students to stay in our university. That was part of the deal.
Okay, I'm very.
But tariffs as a whole, haven't we brought in over $800 billion so far? And the economy's had 4 good months in a row.
Yep. Yep. Tariffs are bringing in a lot of money. I heard that today. I don't know the numbers, but it was a lot.
Yeah, it's 800 and something billion, I believe.
Yeah,
so
okay. Yep.
I just want to bring up one point. If we're going to raise charging these tariffs, let's talk about it. The price of these goods coming from China now are going to be more expensive. I get the long-term goal of bringing more jobs into America, but here's the problem. This is a multi-year thing that you shift over. It doesn't happen overnight. We, the people, are going to not only have our inflation problem, gas prices going up, potential food shortage and everything else, but now we have to deal with our dollar that's cut in half, literally, half price. Ayo.
Right.
Why would you want to depend on China for cheaper goods? You know, most of China's products are
Again,
Americans.
I know the long-term goal, but it's not a turnkey solution. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but let's look at a lot of American businesses and other countries' businesses, small businesses. They go to China to produce their goods. China gets their property, intellectual property, just adjust it a little bit, and now sell the same product that they made a deal with the American individual small business person and sell it for less. So that person ends up losing, who's an American or from another country, just so China can steal the property and sell it cheaper to us. And why would we trust them? It's like having a food taster if you've been poisoned, right? Do you really, if China is our real enemy, are you really trusting the goods that are coming over here? Are you really trusting that the plastics aren't carrying all these toxins? So
right.
I'm fine. Let's bring the business back to America and deal with other countries.
I think that for American companies to fill the gap. That's what I would hope.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, mostly everything's made in China, but as opposed to America, it doesn't have a very big time. That'll change because of these tariffs.
And then when you look at the other side, we say China's stealing our money or stealing our property. I think most of it was sold to them by American politicians. So did they really steal it, or did they buy it from a foreign agent? You know, from an agent that sold their oath to another country.
Yep. Good point. Yep. Yep. And I also think that anything connected to China should not own any American land. And I'm really against people owning American land. That's just me, you know.